Oh. Oh. What is that? Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back. Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I made it. I made it out of bed this morning. It was a long, long day. I took the train because it was the first day of the season. And I thought, yeah, la ta ta ta. And you know, you've got to give me half a chance, right? Give me an inch, I'll take a mile. And I walked the 2 miles. I walked a long way yesterday. I walked from Seven Sisters Station down, but I stopped in every pub along the way, had a cheeky beer, and then carried on walking. And then met Johnny, a few people, few familiar faces. Met up with Ricky from Last Word on Spurs. First time I've ever actually met Ricky face to face. And we went into the premium, had a fantastic few additional beers, some lunch. Johnny treated me to the most amazing seat. Like, Johnny has the best seat. I would arguably say that his seat is better than Daniel Levy's on the other side. It was actually on the halfway line on the third tier thing, third level. Probably annoyed everybody. Probably annoyed absolutely everybody around us because Ricky and I were like, you know, schoolgirls. Johnny even told us off at one point and watched an amazing game. And then, you know, Johnny and Ricky had to shoot off to get home to do work. And I went, all right, let's carry on. Phone died by about 7 p.m. Caught up with Connor and his dad in the 8 bar. It was one of those days, guys. It was one of those days. I got home at about 11:30 and maybe midnight. Not in the best shape. Not in the best shape. I put out a video. I don't even really remember uploading it, to be entirely honest. How you doing, guys? How you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. Please do smash the like button. If you don't mind, hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop some comments. We've got Lubo joining in a minute. The link, I think, has been put into the WhatsApp group, so there might be one or two others, but I don't know. We've got to talk about that. We've also got to talk about the Eze Savinho thing, because Eze's playing. So it's clearly not done. Doesn't mean it won't be done. I think you can respect the fact that he, you know, wants to contribute. It's a tough game for them today against Chelsea. He's a big player for them. Now, there's 3 ways it can go, right? One is he puts in a worldie and then his price goes up 15 million, killing the deal. 2 is he gets injured, killing the deal. Or 3 is, which we hope, is that he comes off after 60 minutes unscathed and that he's done enough to contribute to somebody else putting the ball in the back of the net and that Palace get the points. So we're going to talk about that, talk about Savinho, because it feels like we're close on all of them, but still clearly not quite close enough, if you know what I mean. And then we've got to talk about this as well. I don't know if you can see on the far left of the picture, there's Lubo with his hands on his hips. There's Lubo with his hands on his hips going, where is everybody? I was promised a protest. Everyone feels the way I feel. And if you don't, you're part of the problem. You know, that's not Lubo's take. Lubo doesn't think you're part of the problem. Lubo just fundamentally doesn't, you know, sees it from his side. Most of these guys do, but some of this. So I'll show you what I put. You know what? We'll start with that. Before I do, though, let's get into some chats and salads, people. Will THFC, big up to you. The meltdown if Eze and Savinho don't join will be cataclysmic, and rightly so. Big up to you, Will, in Switzerland, my man. Do people in Switzerland have meltdowns, or is that just for the snow in the summer? You know, you're always kind of very neutral and, you know, everything's okay. Let's stay out of trouble, Will. Stay out of trouble. But big up to you, my man. Big up to you. Appreciate you stopping by. Oliver, big up to you, Oliver. Says, I saw you at the stadium yesterday, Sean. The Asian guy with a moustache. Ha ha. Richarlison mudded you a little, mate. The Asian guy with the moustache. Was that inside in the premium section? Did you come up and say hello? I think so, mate. Listen. I think I'm pretty sure I know who I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure I can remember it, mate. But I was, I was in bad. I was all over the place by the end. Yeah. Have you seen that recent picture of Donald Trump walking? It might be on Twitter. Donald Trump walking down the red carpet with where he's with Putin recently, and he sort of wavers off to the right hand side. I don't know if he's doing that because when you've been the victim of an assassination attempt twice in the last 12 months, you probably never walk in a straight line ever again, if you know what I mean. But certainly I haven't been. So I was doing that on the way. It took me twice as long to get back to Seven Sisters than it did to get there, A man on a mission versus a man returning from a mission, sensational. But great to meet you, mate. Great to meet you, buddy. Let me know if you were in the premium side or if we were talking about outside, because I did meet a few people outside as well. Richarlison mudded you a little. Yeah, he did. Listen, Richarlison is mudding me. His performance against PSG was absolutely the best I've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt from him. And yesterday, look, it depends what you value in like input versus output. I think that his goals yesterday were both absolutely sublime. He looks like a man that is full of confidence. He looks like a man that's got a point to prove. And he looks like a man that is, I think, staking a claim to be actual first choice 9 when both of those players are fit. Solanke's got a lot of work to do because you can't drop Richarlison. And he looks busy and he looks like he's got his shooting boots on. I think the PSG performance was probably better, to be honest. Just his all-round contribution was far better. Yesterday was memorable for his finishing. But he certainly seems to have found the touch. He certainly seems to have found a softer foot, Now, I don't for a second think that in 3 weeks of Thomas Frank and Cochrane that they've suddenly taught him how to control a ball. But I think I don't know, maybe we don't all agree. Maybe it's all recency bias. We'll tell you that I've always been wrong. But I think that most people agreed with me until a couple of weeks ago that Richarlison's first touch was useless and that he couldn't figure out the weighting of a pass either. But look, long may it continue. I have absolutely no problem being in the mud if it's to Tottenham's benefit. And yeah, even I was doing the pigeon. I think maybe I was trying to vomit or something. For the amount of alcohol that had gone into me. It's not looking good for the sake of a few million. Just get it done, says Trend. It's the difference between finishing 10th or 5th. The prize money alone probably covers off the difference needed to get the deals. 100%. 100%. But the problem is, right, is that, I've been saying this for a while. I think that both deals do get done because I think that both players have said they want to leave. And so the draw, Thomas Frank, does have a draw, obviously. Tottenham still has a draw. And Champions League's important. Clearly, the money's not an issue. Personal terms are all agreed. It's literally just figuring out the payment structure and what the right number is. But, to me, I just worry a little. The only part of the conversation that I'm worried about is more so with Savinho is whether or not Manchester City are just wasting our time. Because Pep Guardiola, I think, just has always had it in for Daniel Levy. And I just think the part of me thinks that he's wasting our time. But then you lean into this notion that Man City and Pep Guardiola have always been an outfit that says, if you don't want to be here, then we won't stand in your way. So we shall see. Over the line, he says, 100%. Morning, Sean. Eze starts goal. Yeah, 100%. That's a bit of a shame, but I actually respect it. I respect it, right? Alex Isak, take notes sort of thing. Where are we going to in the chat? Let me just quickly catch up with some people here. Hello, Jet. Hi, Marshall. How you doing? Nobody turned up to the protest. Look well popular. I hope you're good, Sean. To be honest, I feel a little bit ropey today. I feel very ropey. We're going to carry on anyway, though. We're going to carry on. What's going on, Sean? Surely the deals are happening. They're on their way. They're on their way, Jonas, mate. Oh, is that Jonas from New Jersey? Good to see you, mate. Hope you're okay. Good day, Sean. Good day, Voided Avex. Good to see you. Can't lie, I've been against Richarlison, but if he's consistent and stays that well, then I'll happily suck eggs. Yeah, I agree, mate. I agree. Great post-match fan interaction, Sean. More, please. Oh, those 3 guys. I had a crack at 2 of those boys afterwards, right? Because they told me they were all army guys, right? And you got one of the guys, the 2 of them are twins. And then the other one is like their boss or whatever in the army. And the guy, one of the twins was like, they're really nice guys, by the way. And it was all in good humour. But like they were sort of like, he was clearly nervous. And clearly it's not like it's his first time of being nervous. And they kind of like, they sort of like, I don't know, but I know it's banter. I was like, lads, come on. Like, support your own, you know? But big ups to them all. They were good guys, really good guys, and good insights as well. Good insights. And the guy beforehand that I did before the game, Des K, he was really cool to talk to as well. Really cool. There's a lot of really nice people around the stadium that are always interesting to listen to after the game. Get some good takes. I spoke to Des before the game. How's my head, Martin? Oh, mate, it's not just my head, mate. My stomach. Didn't sleep well. You know, the train. I haven't got the train for ages. The train was like an absolute. Well, I think I was the only person sweating, so maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my incredibly bad health. But I was absolutely drenched on that train. And the subway, like the underground from Seven Sisters down to Vauxhall. My dearie me. Absolutely insane. There he is, says Roy. Hope you're well, mate. I can say I felt better. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to go for today. Drink enough for 2 days kind of day. Yeah, but you know me, Marshall. I drink enough for 2 days most days. So when I'm sat here, once I've got my business work done in the morning, then I'll do a couple of uploads or whatever. Then I sort of kick into it, right? I know it's not good. I know it's bad. But so if you can imagine me there, then you can imagine how, like, you know, there were shots. There was all sorts, you know, all sorts of mixtures as well, like red wine, red wine into cider, into beer, into double spirit. It's just outrageous. Good night. Yeah, it was a good night. 170 watching, only 27 likes, says Spurs fan John. There's 750 watching. I think I've just got a redirect from Sava. I think I have. So thank you. Where's the, has it come in? Oh, there's loads of comments. Hang on a second. Big up to you, Chris. Big up to Fashar. Yeah, Sava Ray. Good to see you. David Smith. Good to see everybody who's coming across from Sava's channel. Thank you, Sava. Shout out to you, my man. Shout out to you. Right, guys. Yeah, avoid hangovers. Stay drunk. Yeah. By the way, let me know, right? Because I want to know what percentage of people that watch the show enjoy a drink, you know? And because when we did the watch along a couple of nights ago for the PSG thing, we basically turned it into like a kind of virtual drinking game. And I was like, listen, guys, don't judge me. I'm going to have a few beers tonight on the stream, so I might get missy. And then the comments were like, Sean, I'm way ahead of you. I'm like 8 drinks in. So I was thinking about starting a show, maybe like Friday night or maybe Saturday night at like 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock UK time, where we just call it like, you know, Tottenham drinks or whatever. And everybody that's dialed in, everybody that's on the stream, if I do a panel, and everybody that's watching, you know, the tone of the show is shaped around, you know, being down the pub and having a good old a drinky poos, you know. Loves a drink, says Free Speech Fiona. Good to see you, Free Speech Fiona. Let's do some. Wow, I was about to say let's do a super chat, and there's just a monster come in. Jeez, mashing a Joe, what an absolute legend you are. Hang on, I'll come to you in a second. Dean Law, mate, big up to you, my man, as well, my man Deanie. Big up, Sean. Great to see you down the high road yesterday. Oh, is that you? Oh, Dean, that was you. Okay, mate. Sorry, Dean. I felt so rude because I was on the phone to Johnny, and so you came up to me. You sort of reached out to me. I didn't know who you. Obviously, I don't think we've ever met before. But you were sort of, you know, you were saying sort of saying hello, and I was in the middle of the phone call. But I didn't know if I'd known it was you. I would have told Johnny, I'll call you back. But it was an important call I was having with Johnny. Now I know. Now I can put the face to the name. Dean, absolute pleasure to meet you, mate. Sorry if it came across like it was a bit rude or whatever. I was just, it was an important call with John. But, mate, great to meet you. And next time we'll definitely stop and have a chat, mate. So appreciate you for saying hello, buddy. And thank you very much for the super chat, Dean. Thank you very much for the super chat. Mashing a Joe out in Australia, Everton fan, big Evertonian, but Tottenham is his second team, a Croatian Aussie, who fell in love with Tottenham as a second team because, was it Nico Cranshaw you said, Joe? I think it was Cranshaw. He's probably, I know it's difficult to say this, but I think he was probably, at the time when Modric and Cranshaw were kind of, unless I'm misremembering here, were they in the same team at the same time? I think they were. But I think that Cranshaw was my favourite because he was such a good-looking bloke, wasn't he? That sounded weird. That shouldn't be a reason to. that shouldn't be a reason to say to have a favourite, but I don't know. It rubs off. Good looks are appealing. Thank you so much, man. That's an absolute like bomber of a donation, Joe. Thank you so much, mate. It's very, very, very generous. That's not the first time you've done that either, mate. You're a very, very generous bloke. Thank you again, mate. Very, very cool. And you're a professional alcoholic. Well, I hope you're not doing these things because it's probably evening time, Sunday night over there. You probably had a couple of drinks. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you so much, man. Very cool of you. Roy's in the house as well. Very worried that some Looney Tune from Chelsea will injure Eze if he plays today. Fingers crossed he just gets to say goodbye to the supporters. Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it? A goodbye message. Although we thought that was what was happening with Morgan Gibbs-White. And look how that turned out. Appreciate you, Roy. Thank you very much for the ongoing support, mate. 30 months. Gee whiz, that's a long time, buddy. I appreciate you very much. Lubo, her up, Mr. Pop's office. I think Lubo's coming on in a minute when he's finished doing something. He said he's having a punt on Chelsea trying to injure Eze because of the Tottenham links. Wow. Yeah. Both of you have sort of manifested that now, haven't we? Let's really hope that doesn't happen, eh? Really hope that doesn't happen. Thank you very much, Poxy. Appreciate you. Look who's in the house as well. My Blaney, my Super Spurs TV. He says, my streamer and ITK. Guys, nice and simple. Smash those likes and subscribe if you haven't already. Blaine, that is an absolute bomber of a super chat as well. You guys are far too generous today. You're making me feel very welcomed and very, very loved. And I love you guys very, very much for all the support. It's super, super generous. You never have to do any of these things, guys. I really do appreciate you. Listen, we'll get into the Eze stuff. We're going to get into the Gahey things. Thank you so much, guys, by the way, for all that stuff. I never know how many times to say thank you. But I do want to start with this, right? So this obviously was all that noise, all that kind of back and forth. So I put out I've spoken about this many times over the last couple of days on Twitter. And you know what it is, right? For me, I don't know if this is summarized. Let me see if I can get it on the screen. I don't know if this is... Oh, hang on. So I put this out, right? So the guy, Jay, who's apparently one of the leaders, he said, we turned up. And I said, it's a bad look, it's ill-advised and reputation damaging. The online space has a far higher proportion of dissatisfaction towards our owners than the match-going fans. I've always supported the protests in principle, but this was incredibly naive. Because I think it does damage your reputation. I think it does. Like if you're doing these things anyway, then I don't understand the logic. The only logic, which is what Billy T put out on when he was on Last Word on Spurs, his logic was, we're doing it now because there's still a couple of weeks left in the window, and therefore, if there's a big turnout, then Daniel Levy will, feel the heat from that and be more likely to do more things in the window. Which I just think it's, I don't know, like there is an indirect link, I guess. There's an indirect value. I've always acknowledged there's some indirect value to protests that are well supported, well documented, and that are larger in number than normal. There's some indirect value if you time it correctly to them having some sort of overlay into possibly the mindset of the owner thinking the fans aren't happy, you better do something. And I think you possibly could attribute some of that to what happened with the Mathys Tel thing. We'll never know. We'll never know whether or not the plan was always to sign Mathys Tel on deadline day. The plan was always to try to sign Gahey and all that stuff. But if you want to be able to align something happening after something else happening and then saying that there's a causation rather than just a correlation, a coincidental effect, then fair enough. If you want to look for the positives, and that's what Change for Tottenham did, right? They said that in the last tweet they put out, they when they were sort of promoting the thing, they said, we're doing this, and by the way, we've noted the increase in transfer speculation since we announced our protest, like inferring that they're responsible for it. And I find that, like, I've always respected the right to protest. I respect the value, the indirect value of protesting. There's no direct value. There's not a single instance, not one, in the Premier League history, or even for what it's worth, for the most part in the Football League, of owners being so unhappy with the pressure of protest that they would accept an offer for their club at lower than market value. Look at Mike Ashley. Like people that think that there's people that we should protest. Look, Mike Ashley's an example. He sold their club because Newcastle fans didn't want him. It took him 15 years to get them out, right? So, anyway, long story short, I just think that if you're going to take the notion, the narrative that if you protest and it does well, then you're taking the credit for the impact that it has on the transfer strategy in this scenario, then surely by proxy of that, when this happens, just on their own logic, when that happens, then Daniel Levy might turn around and now say, screw it, the fans are happy. If that is their logic, which is saying that big numbers in protests equals transfer strategies, transfer rumours, better positive outcomes, then surely by that logic, poor numbers, piss poor, 20 people, what is it, 15 people there or something, then that could equally backfire and turn into no more transfers. So, I think the whole thing is ridiculous. They should have read the room. Was Lubo there? Yes, Lubo, if you can see, is right over here on the left-hand side, this guy. Hands on hips, unhappy that there's 12 people there, and that includes the marshal in the background, the woman carrying her shopping, and the guy over there having a fag on the right-hand side. Yeah, not a good look. Not a good look. I think it's ridiculous. And here is come of the hour, come of the man. We've got someone. Oh, I saw that was Lubo. Sorry, it's Lukey. How you doing, Lukey?
Sorry to disappoint you, mate.
No, you haven't disappointed, mate. It's great to see you, buddy. Great to see you. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Yourself?
Good, mate. Sorry, just I saw Lou in the name, and I thought it was the BO thing was going to come in.
I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I might bring some BO, but I'm not bringing Lubo.
Delighted you're here. We've also got Soren as well. How you doing, Soren?
Mate, good.
Good to see you.
I saw you and I was thinking of the protest yesterday. I thought, well, I better get on and make sure there's more numbers on Sean's cast than there was at the protest. And obviously somebody else was thinking the same. So we're halfway there.
What did you guys think of? We'll come to the game. We'll come to the transfers. What did you think of the pro? I mean, this. I mean, am I wrong or am I right in thinking that if the logic in which they aspire to present, which is big numbers and protests equals pressure on the owners to do things, then when you run the risk and you run the gauntlet and you organise a protest on the first game of the season, and that is the piss poor turn up, then by their own logic, that could end up with us not signing things, right? That could end up with Daniel Levy saying there's no pressure here. I'll just go back to being whatever version of a human being they think he is.
Go on, sorry.
I just get the feeling Daniel Levy, if he actually does see that, he'll just be sat there sniggering. You know, like the Mr. Burns from the Simpson thing. Look, I just think whoever was organising that just has not read the room one little bit. A couple more weeks down the line, you'd have probably had a few more people there had things not gone right. But look, Thomas Frank's first game of the season, the first home game of the season, the transfer window's not shut yet. It doesn't make any logical sense to put a protest on now. I mean, I just don't. For me, I can't figure it out. You saw the difference last season when things were rubbish. You get 2,000 or 3,000, 4,000 people, however many were there. That's a protest. That yesterday just goes back to the original days of the protest where
that was less than the original days, mate. That's half the original days.
But the thing is, it's like you've been down to local pub and said, "Here, mate, we're having a protest," and there's only 20 people in there, and you've given 12 flyers out, and they've turned up because you promised them a free pint and a burger. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, that to me, if that hits media, if that hits mainstream media, that makes Tottenham an even bigger laughing stock than we already have been. It's like bloody other, crap football team, crap owners who can't even organise a bloody protest.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head, by the way. But I don't know if you meant this, but if they want to do the next protest, they should have a barbecue, right? They should have a grill in the back that says everyone that comes, you pay £5, you get a T-shirt and you get a free burger, and then you might get 100 people turn up for the burger, but then you get the picture just at the right time,
Yeah. yeah, next home game of the season, you don't actually tell them that it's a protest. It's free, just a big sign saying free burgers. Stand in this queue. Don't stand one line. Make sure you're 5 or 6 abreast, and then all of a sudden somebody just runs in front of them with a banner saying "Levy out," and there's a photo taken, and there's like 500 people stood there. That's the way to organise a protest. But look, I feel sorry for them in the sense of I get what they're trying to do, and I get last season it worked. But you don't do it on your first home game of the season. You've just got a new manager in. You're hoping to get some momentum. You're hoping things are going to change. And you put a protest out there. I mean, that's why nobody's turned up, because everybody else is thinking the same, that it's like, why are we protesting on the first day of the season? First home game with a brand new manager. We've got rid of what we didn't want. And now, well, obviously with the manager and the performances rather than the owners, but things look as though they're changing. Things look more promising. Oh, but we're still going to put a protest that doesn't kind of make any sense at this particular point in time. It's really, really, really poor planning. And to me, that just screams of somebody that isn't doing it for the reasons that we want change. It's doing it because there's a natural hatred within them
100%.
for a certain person that they don't want, but they're just not reading the room. 100%. It's like walking into a brothel and there's some bloke walking down the stairs and he's just finished with somebody, and you think, I'm going in with her and she's still cleaning herself up type thing.
Oh, come on now. It's a lunchtime show, Soren.
Well, but the timing's wrong. That's where I'm going with it.
Fair enough.
I'll pass it up to Luke now.
we're not woke on this channel. Everyone's sorry, everybody, if that was too graphic. Lukey, how are you, mate? How you doing, buddy? What's your take on the protest, buddy? What's your take on the
First of all, no more. I'm not having any lunch. I can tell you that. I'm not going with Soren's analogies. I'm going to stick to what I can see instead of coming up with analogies, because I'm not going to be as good as that. I think the timing of it. What needs to be remembered when you're doing, and listen, I'm all for protests. I'm happy for them to do that. I think that change is required to a certain level. I'm all on board with that sort of stuff. I just think that it's the timing. Like, when you're doing this sort of things, what you need to do is bring the middle people over to you. So you'll have the people that massively support Levy. You'll have people that massively don't. And if you're fighting for the people that are in the middle. And the people in the middle, but also the media, also other fans, also the journalists who want to back your cause. And the facts is that when it's announced and when it's done before the first game of the season, everyone's just going to say, you want change because it's change for Tottenham. It's not Levy out, it's change for Tottenham. You want change. You've got a new CEO. You've got a new manager. You've got new board members. You've got new players. You've got a brand new European trophy that you've just won, which is part of your big banner. So why don't you just wait when the mistakes and when the signings don't happen or they fall through and it's we tried. Then you go, this is the exact reason why we're protesting. I think that now people in the middle are just going to go, no, this is more of that. You've got more of an agenda here because you've got so much change that's happened already, and that's not enough. So, listen, as I say, I'm not against the protest whatsoever. I just think the timing of it, and as I said, when you're trying to pull them middle people over to your way of thinking, they're just going to look and go, you've got the trophy. It's the first game of the season, and the reasons I've just given. So I think that's the reason why so few people have turned up, personally.
So just have a quick look at the... so I put this out, right? I've already called that one out. Look at some of the response. There's only been a couple of comments. I only put this out an hour ago, but the people that respond, pathetic. So my comment is pathetic, right? Not this is pathetic, but my comment is pathetic. From Blanche, this is why you get the club you deserve. To which I asked him, are you in that picture? Right? Like, if he's unhappy with the club, if he thinks that people like me that call this nonsense out is responsible for why we have the club that we deserve, where was he yesterday? Where was he? Don't think he was there. Maybe he was. Maybe he's one of the other 10 people out there, but doubt it.
You sure he's
Next
calling
one.
you there, Sean?
What's that?
Are you sure he's calling you there? Because I would say that he's calling the protest there.
No, it's not.
Either way, he's not agreeing.
He's responded. Not entirely sure
right.
what that has to do with your Levy-loving stance. So there you go.
Yeah,
so he thinks I'm a Levy lover, right?
Yeah.
But he's saying that I'm pathetic, but he wasn't there, right? Can't hear you properly. Take Levy's dick out of your mouth first and then talk. Right? That's the way to win over moderates. You know? Gutless fan base. Nothing but genuine first fans here. All those extras that turned up when it was cool are all fake and happy with how things are. Dr. Bald AIDS has left us short for the 25th season in a row, and fluffers like yourself call protest naive. You know, to which I responded, all your opinion isn't shared by everybody else. But calling the guy Dr. Bald AIDS is a great way to win the hearts and minds of the moderates. This is the sort of the level, right?
That's what I said. It's about winning over that middle section, the people that not swayed, because that's the wrong way of saying it, but the people that are in the middle that don't quite have the opinion, and then they hear a few facts and they're I can see where you're coming from there. That's the way that you win them over, and by being aggressive, by being judgmental, by saying yous are all wrong. That's not how you win over a person who's kind of sitting on the fence. That's how you push them the other way, and this is what happens on X. And obviously, the people that are saying this sort of stuff are not the people that are actually organising it. This is just coming from faceless accounts, like most abuse does. But this is where it's a bit of a problem, because you're trying to win over them people that don't have as stronger feelings for you. And as soon as you start becoming that aggressive, it just doesn't work. They're just like, whatever you say, it's like when you're in an argument, when people start, you're having a debate, you come on YouTube, you're having a debate, and then someone just starts calling you X, Y, and Z, you shut off from everything they say. It's like, I don't even need to listen to you anymore, because you just, and that's how it can come across, especially on X.
Yeah, I 100%. 100%. Lubo's going to be on at some point. He said he was coming on from the start, but he's obviously run away seeing those seeing the pictures. I'm not sure he wants to face face the onslaught. Sorry, let me come to you, mate. Let's talk a little bit about the game, right? So 3-0, wonderful start to the game. Go 1-0 up, then we sit back. You know, looking a little bit shaky towards the end of the first half. Second half, everything gets back on track. Richarlison, how do you? I know you're in the WhatsApp group, Soren, but usually when the Richarlison name comes up, it's usually me and myself versus Adam and Brian. Like, I'm not sure of your take on Richarlison. Sorry, like, is he proving you wrong, or were you always on his side anyway?
I would dare say I'm probably more on his side than against him, but I do see the against him argument in this. I've just been saying with Saber on his that. To me, Richarlison's one of those players that he can put the ball in the back of the net, but he can't think about putting the ball in the back of the net, because when he does, it's... Look, I'll bring up an analogy. So when he walks in... No, I'm not going there, don't worry. He's the type of person that if you put the ball exactly where it needs to be, that he literally just, bang, it's in the back of the net. But if you put the ball to him where he's got to stop it, control it, and then kick it, he's gone. Yeah. He hasn't got a clue. He just can't do it. And I feel sorry for him, because the potential is there for him to be a goal scorer, but the potential isn't there for him to be a Harry Kane or a Sonny who can create a goal for himself and then score. It's literally a no-nonsense player.
Is he like a Vicario then? It's like the less time he has to think about it, the better he is.
Yeah. I mean, I said it all last season and the season before that if you put the ball on a sixpence for him, he's got a chance of scoring. If you give him the ball and give him an open net and say, right, run to there and score, he's going to miss, because he's thinking about it then. And we've got a player there that's pretty good with his head. We saw yesterday that he can kick the ball in the back of the net, but we never give him the right service. We always play it to him to then turn and kick it, or run in the box and kick it. And he can't do that. It's almost as if you look at all those goals Brennan Johnson scored last season, which were typical tap-ins, that's a Richie. That's what we want Richie to do. That literally just tap it in or kick it. The ball comes to him and he kicks it and it'll score. But yeah, to me, he's not the player that you give him time. I mean, I have an analogy, but you've already told me off with one of my analogies, so I'm not going to go there.
I mean, if it's appropriate, I love an analogy, just as long as they're
Oh,
appropriate.
no, it's probably worse than the last one. So it's like, can you imagine Sava stood there and Margot Robbie comes in and he's telling us all what he's going to do, and as soon as she walks in, it's like blonk. That's the type of player that Richarlison is. That all the time he's thinking, if it's suddenly bang, he's there, he's got it. But if the somebody walks in, it's like, yeah, no, it's gone.
Preparation, the chat up line, all like the kind of the game.
Line,
yeah. No foreplay, all squirt sort of thing. Yeah.
He's not one of those players that if he was sat in a bar that some bird walks up to him and gives it all, and he's got to actually work to get there. He's walking home on his own, isn't it? He's going home for a cup of tea and a McDonald's on the way home. Whereas if it's kind of like, yeah, she's walked up to him, jumps on top of him, and bang, he's there and he's done it. So.
Yeah. Have you seen that social media influencer guy who's got that haircut? You know, the guy he's famous for his haircut. He's all over Instagram. I think he's called Ibiza Final Boss or something. Have you seen him?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So he gets like they're in Ibiza and he gets basically introduced to Bonnie Blue, right? Of all people, you're golden there, right? You haven't got to do much. You've got to have a little bit of chat, and you know they're going to do some work together. That geezer if you've seen the interaction, the guy had about as much talk as
ever misses
over that ball. It was absolutely mind-boggling. Like that's you're good. You're good. She is famous.
That's Richie in front of a goal, isn't it? That's Richarlison in front of a goal that you've got a dead cert and you've just cocked it all up. Whereas you give him a thing where he's got no chance at all, and bang, it's in the back of the net.
What are you saying, Luke? Is Richie the man for you? You back Richie, don't you?
Listen, I think Frank will do something with him and utilize him in a way. I think he'll be able to get better return out of him as long as he's fit. However, I've been saying it for ages that we've got so much change that needs to happen in this squad. It's all about priorities, and I think that if you've got Richie there, he'll be able to utilize him. We've seen that he can score some goals, but he's not the finished article. When you want to start challenging for top fours, he's someone that needs to be replaced. But I don't think he's the priority to be replaced right now. I think going into this summer window, the priority was the defensive midfielder, the right winger. We've got them because of the injury. You'd now say and obviously Son going. You'd say that the Eze and Savinho are the next priorities. How many priorities can you fix in one window? I don't see it being that sort of case. I don't see us going and signing another 4 or 5 players. So, yes, do I think he can do a job? Yes. Do I think Frank will improve him? Yes. Does he need to be replaced? Yes, probably. But is that something that needs to be done next year? I mean, if you look at it, the problem is Solanke. I think Solanke will be better next year, but Solanke isn't levels above Richarlison, I don't think. I think both of them are probably, if you asked everyone, they all play 38 games, how many goals do they score? They're probably going to be roughly a similar number. If we had a top level striker and Richie was coming off the bench as your backup, I'm like, that's all right. He could be a weapon off the bench. He's good in the air. But at the moment, it's like you're kind of picking what one is going to start. And so I think that's part of the problem. But yeah, I'm not completely against him, but I just think that he needs to be upgraded. It's just not a priority at this moment in time.
So you don't think if Tottenham have the money, right? Because according to Paul O'Keefe, and again, I can't verify this because the geezer blocked me, and I don't care. You care. I don't care. But the reality is that we are apparently also looking at Piero Hincapié, right? Who's going to drop. That's going to cost you 60, right?
Doesn't make sense.
I don't think we'll get him because I think that if, first of all, Ten Hag doesn't want to sell another one of his star players, but even if there was willingness for him to move at the right, I know he's got like a 50, 60 million pound apparently release clause.
Yeah.
But even if there was that willingness to get that done, he'd probably be of higher interest to Chelsea, and Chelsea probably do have a bigger draw than Tottenham, especially with their injury crisis. But if Tottenham are kind of thinking, happy to do Eze, happy to do Savinho, and also happy to do a centre-back of that ilk, then how much money are we talking about potentially being on the table here? And does it stop there? Does it stop there?
Hincapié doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't in any way, shape, or form make sense. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's a good player, but I would be very interested to know if people think that he's better than Van der Ven. And I'd be very interested to know if people think that he's better than Spence. And if the answer to both of them is no, why would we spend £60 million on a centre-back that doesn't start?
Do you not see a world where Hincapie could come in and Van der Ven goes more to the left?
Possibly. But then Van der Ven's not playing in his position. Is he going to want that? I would have said that was maybe an option. He will go and play left-back on times, definitely. But I think Van der Ven's a centre-back. People saying that we might play 3 at the back. Yeah, that's fine. But if you're playing 3 at the back, the likelihood of having 2 left-footed centre-backs is ridiculously low. Like, so for me, it just doesn't. If you're going to spend £60 million on a not necessarily a backup, but like a rotational option that might play but won't play week in, week out every single week, then when we went into this window, my whole point was let's improve this 11. And if there's arguments, Hincapie might be better than, or he can be. Well,
I think there is an argument that Hincapie is a better all-round defender than Van der Ven, for what it's worth. I think there is an argument.
I do as well in a certain system, but the way that Romero and Van der Ven come as a partnership, I'm not sure. Hincapie to me seems more like a Romero type than he does a Van der Ven type. He's a little bit more of that similar sort of player. So do you want 2 of them as centre halves together? I think the kind of chemistry that works with them two is pretty good. As I say, if he comes, I'm not going to sit here and say if he's the type of player you're bringing in 100%. I'm happy with it, but I just feel like if Spurs have £60 million, is that the area that you go to spend on someone that there's absolute, like, you drop Van der Ven or you drop Spence, or where does that go? So for me, I think you've got a creative 8 that we need. I think we'll still need a striker, and I think people will probably go and revert to them instead of and going to get a cheaper option at centre half or left back if that's what you think we need.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because, like, let's assume them on the basis of argument that there is something like, I don't know, 200 million quid that's left that could be spent, right? And if they are hopefully going to get, as they are hopefully going to get Savinho, which everybody, no matter, it doesn't matter then if you don't get the Hincapie, everyone will be happy if the window closes with those 2, right? The argument for Hincapie for me, or someone of that ilk, like another defender of top level, is first of all because of what Ghost is saying here, because Van der Ven does miss half the season every season, or at least for the first 2.
Yeah.
And touch wood, he won't get injured. And if he doesn't have to stretch his legs all the time, then that might not necessarily happen. But I do think that Hincapie is probably a more well-rounded centre back. I think he's better in the air. I think his positional sense is better. I think his passing is probably better. I think Van der Ven's a better carrier of the ball. I don't know Hincapie as a left back versus Van der Ven. We haven't seen too much of Van der Ven unless you watch international football for Holland. But the argument would be, obviously, like, you are competing in 4 tournaments and you need you need cover anyway, because if Tottenham are going to do this back 3 thing away from home in Europe, then you can't do that if Van der Ven or Romero gets injured. You can't do it at the moment with Romero, let's say Romero, Danzo and Ben Davies. It's not going to work, right? So if Tottenham do have intentions to play a back 3 system for at least 12, 14 games this year, some of the away games in the Premier League, most of the away games in the Champions League, some of the games at home, and then if we go deep, or if we get a big draw away from home in one of the cups, that would probably be what we're expecting to do. And therefore, on that basis, another centre-back does make sense. However, there is that trade-off, the opportunity cost of you saying you think we should improve on the 9. I think that I agree with that. Soren, I don't know if you agree with that, but I doubt we've got 250 million quid, so I'd be very surprised that we could go and get someone like a Hincapie, someone like an Eze, someone like a Savinho, and also someone like a Vissa on top of that. That would be too much to expect, wouldn't it, Soren?
Yeah. Look, my argument would be a bit like Luke said, that if you get Richarlison and you keep him fit and you keep Solanke fit, they'll do for another season. We get the creativity sorted. We shore up the defence, and to me, it makes sense getting Hincapie because we can't keep going into games where, yes, our first 11 are strong enough, but then we see the big drop-off when we have to bring a sub on or whatever. And like you say, there's enough games this season to keep 4 or 5 decent defenders happy if we're playing a back 3. So, we've seen it. I mean, we saw it yesterday where we brought Gray. I know it's a different position, but we brought Gray, Berghvall, and the drop-off to bringing those kids on as a group of players rather than an individual coming on at a time is a massive difference. Where if you bring in the defence and say, for argument's sake, our defenders that we've got now are fit, and all of a sudden you drop Romero and you drop Van der Ven and you bring in Danso and Dragusin, for argument's sake, it's a big drop off. You bring a Danso and a Hincapi on, it's not too bad. You play Dragusin or Danso and Ben Davies, it's a massive drop off. So to have that extra player in there, and look, how many times have we said in these windows that we've got to get strong players in, because that then improves the other players, because they step up a little bit more, because they don't want to get dropped. And if you're always looking over your shoulder thinking, well, it's Ben Davies, he's not going to come on instead of me, so you bring Hincapi on, that probably puts up Van der Ven, steps him up another level. So to me, it makes sense. And then where we're arguing, well, we need a left back. Well, you've kind of got already a replacement there with a left back. If we're not going to play Spence, you can push Van der Ven out there because he does play left back for his country. So it's not an alien position to him. And then all of a sudden, if you've got Van der Ven, you've got Hincapi, and you've got, say, Romero, you can resort to a back three in game because you've got three proper centre backs in there as well. So it allows you to not just change the personnel, but you can change the positional play and everything during a game. And we've seen Van der Ven can run up and down the pitch with the ball. And like you say, hopefully he's not going to get injured as much this season. Hopefully his hamstrings will last a little bit better. But to me, it's a no-brainer. But yeah, I think we don't necessarily need a number 9 now.
Maybe
but
January.
We probably do need a number 9 next season, next window.
Yeah, January. January is always very difficult, though, isn't it?
No, but I mean, next summer,
I think you make a good argument. I do think you make a good argument, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sorry, Soren. Sorry.
I think Richarlison and Solanke, if we can keep Richarlison fit, we'll see a different player this season. And them two together can take us through this season, because let's not forget, if you bring Eze in, you bring Savinho in, and you've got Kudos in, that's a hell of a lot more quality passes coming into a position where them strikers can put that ball in the back of the net, rather than how many times did we see last year with, if Brennan Johnson actually made a cross, it was behind the player, or whoever was on the wings, if they actually did put a cross in, it was behind them rather than on the point where it's supposed to be. So yeah, to me, number 9 is not important.
You talk about keeping Richarlison and Solanke fit, keeping Kudos fit at the moment.
Yeah,
that guy is absolutely he's so consequential. His ability to create that space, to take a guy on, the way that he gets that for both goals, by the way, for both of Richarlison's finishes were created by his unbelievable sort of knock and go onto the byline. I know it's against Burnley, but super impressive.
If you bring Eze in and Savinho, that means you've got 2 other players that can do that as well. You're not just relying on one of them. So if Kudos does go down, you've still got the other 2 that can do this, basically the same job. If Savinho goes down, you've still got 2. If Eze goes down, you've still got 2. So you're not just relying on one quality player, because you've suddenly got 3 quality players that can do the same type of thing from different positions.
Yeah, 100%. James, I'm going to come to you in a second. I'm just going to do a couple of super chats. But before I get to the super chats, and big up to you, James, for coming on. Glasner in the post-match interview has just said regarding Eze starting today, he said, "Don't believe everything you read in the newspapers." That doesn't sound too good, does it? That sounds like Parish has gone, Levy, we're not going to make this one. Hey, we'll find out. We'll talk about that in a second, James. I'll give you first crack at that. Let me just get a couple of super chats called out. By the way, thank you so much. Everyone's being super generous today. It makes your hangover a little bit less spicy when the generosity's in full flow. Guys, you never have to do it, mate. It's not a necessity, but I really do appreciate you. This is from Paul Shark. Stel says Tel hat-trick and Richie gets 2. Amazing. Well, Stel said he better not get a hat-trick, right? Stel didn't predict a hat-trick. Stel said he better not score a hat-trick because Stel has an agenda. Agendas have got our agenda and content's got our content. Appreciate you, Paul. Appreciate you, Paul Sharp, very much. Freddie JD, big up to you, man. Thank you so much. He says, why are we always reactive? Only reason we are in for Eze is because Maddison got injured. Why not go in for Eze in addition so we make ourselves stronger? No wonder fans get frustrated with these owners. I don't know. I personally think that maybe we were looking for someone like an El Khanous to bring him in to play understudy to Maddison, something like that initially. And then also knowing that you have Decky that's also recovering from injury. And so it wasn't necessarily going to be such a crucial thing. But then when Madders went down and Decky's injury, then you can't bring in an El Khanous who's a young kid who hasn't proven it yet. You need more of a here and now one. So I kind of hear what you're saying, mate, that, you know, we should be able to just go and get top draw players regardless of our depth. But I just don't think that works that way with where we're at personally. I think Chelsea maybe do things differently. But thank you very much for the very generous super chat, mate. Super Spurs to me. Blaine is back in again. Blaine, mate, what are you doing? He's gifted 5 Spurs Talk Show memberships. I hope everyone who received one has said thank you to Blaine. Blaine, you're an absolute legend, mate. And by the way, guys, Wednesday night is the next fan call-in show. So I'm going to try and do it once every week or once every 2 weeks latest, but at least. But the next one is Wednesday night. So if you are a member, please keep an eye out in the community section for the details there. Thank you, Blaine. So generous, mate. And then PD RF6WP says, I think Richarlison will be our starting striker all season. I trust Thomas Frank to work to his strong points. Interesting one. Yeah, I think Thomas Frank is someone a bit like Nuno in that he likes to, you know, figure out where people are and you know, confidence and you know, put things around him. Look, if Richarlison doesn't have to do much of the creative work, and then you go and get a Savinho to Soren's point, and you have a Kudus on the right, and they could just beat the guy and then whip the ball in, then some really great things can certainly happen. Thank you very much for Super Chat. Super Blaine's come back in again. As much as we would like a new 9, realistically, looking at what's left in the market, I don't see a 9 who is next level. It does bring an argument if we should move sooner. It also may not be the number 1 priority for Frank. James, I'll let you crack on this one, mate. Do you think that the market's getting a little bit dry now in the 9 section?
I think if you're Tottenham Hotspur, the market's dry everywhere. It doesn't matter about number 9. For us, it's always so delayed that for me, I'm just bored of it. The signing of Eze would at the beginning of the season was so exciting, and now I'm just like, I'm done with it. Either get him in or don't. I'm bored. It's so delayed that it takes all the excitement away. One day, yeah, we're making progress. Today, this morning, I've seen nothing but the talks didn't continue. There hasn't been any bigs accepted. Now, Glasner's saying that on Sky Sport. It's just boring, isn't it? It's so like Tottenham. It's Spursy. If you're going to put a word to it, it's Spursy. And I think that's for me. We can see, or I can see, when you add a certain level of quality, i.e. Kudos. People were saying how good Brennan Johnson is. He's got to stay. He's our top goal scorer. You sign Kudos and everyone goes, forget Brennan Johnson. Look at Kudos. Like there's levels to this. And for me, that's exactly the same with the likes of Richarlison. Everyone's going, oh yeah, but look what he has done. Look what he can do. People will only go, oh yeah, he ain't very good. When you kind of go, hold on, let's swap him for a Ramos from PSG. And then people go, wow, there's levels to this. It's like, well, yeah, obviously. And it's the same for the left wing for me. Tel, people are going to be saying about Tel. You sign Savinho, people go, wow, why are we spending 35, 40 million on Tel when we could spend 60 million on Savinho? It doesn't make sense to me.
All right, well, I'm going to come back to you on that because I think that therefore you might be leaning into the protest a different way to how Lukey and Soren and myself have ridiculed it over the first 45 minutes of the show. Maybe your frustrations are sort of leaning into the justification. I'll come back to you on that one in a second. Thank you very much, Blaine. Very cool of you. And Cat Funt as well has come in and said, big up, we can't bumble any more deals, surely. I don't think this is on Daniel Levy. I think Tottenham are going out of their way. I think they're doing everything they can to get both of those players over the line. The fact that it's been at Ornstein and Romano's door, and the stories are at that level for the last 2 weeks. Like Tottenham have had 3 bids, ridiculously high bids. If we get Savinho, like nobody can say that Tottenham don't shortchange. Right, if we end up paying £70 million for Savinho, we have massively overpaid for someone, and we're pricing in perfection. He's a fantastic player and a fantastic talent. But 70 million quid for a 21-year-old that scored, 1 goal last year or something? We are overpaying here. And then if he turns out to be a superstar, everyone will say, we'll see. You should do that every time. But if he turns out to be a flop, what was the narrative with Richarlison? Overpaid. What was the narrative with Solanke? overpaid. What was the narrative with Ndombele? Massively overpaid. Same with half of or 3/4 of the players that we paid for, the big paid, in our highest top 10 transfers. The fan base, when we don't pay enough and the transfer doesn't happen, it's Daniel Levy he's spendthrift, he's penny wise, pound foolish. And when we do end up paying over the top and the player doesn't smash it out of the park, he's then criticised for being a bozo that gets sucked into, gets his pants pulled down. The guy can't win. The guy can't win with half of this fan base. But thank you very much, Kat. Look, I think that Parish is responsible for the Eze deal dragging on. And I genuinely fear that Pep Guardiola is wasting Tottenham's time because he wants to get revenge on him for the whole Kane thing. What are you saying, James?
I disagree, because there's always somebody else's fault and it's never Daniel Levy's fault. No offence, Sean. But what was Morgan Gibbs-White was Manarakis' fault. Just pay a bit more and you probably would have got him to start off with, rather than bang dead on the buyout clause. With Eze, you're saying, this is no dig, by the way, it's just my opinion. You're saying all the top reporters have reported it, so it must be a certain way. 2 days ago, they said we're £7 million short. So it's all well and good bidding, but if they're saying you're £7 million short, just bid another £7 million and you get your player. There's been a release clause in his contract for God knows how long. And Savio, for me, that's probably the one for me that's tricky, because he was fantastic before he joined City, and he doesn't really play the Pep Guardiola style. Pep Guardiola is very much, this is my formation, you play here, move there. Same with me as like a Kudos. Kudos wouldn't fit in like a Pep system. They're very much, I'm a flair player. I will create space, leave the creating to me, and then I'll do whatever you want me to do defensively, but let me attack. So for me personally, I don't agree. I think we can't always be somebody else and pointing a finger at somebody else without taking no responsibility and blame for ourselves. I'm not saying that there's not circumstances. Exactly. I'm not saying that there's not circumstances like the Nottingham Forest one, for example, that could have been, you know what, that's not our fault. But it's every single window. Pedro Porro, all right, we got him over the line, but it started before the window started and went all the way to the last day of the transfer window. And fair enough, we got him, but it shouldn't be like that.
But I don't understand how look, I'll come to you. I don't understand how the narrative is always, just accept 5 million for Bissouma, right? When Tottenham value him at 15, just accept it to get him out the door. So the fan base want our chairman to overpay and pay whatever any other chairman values their player at, because we want the player and it's not our money, therefore we don't care. But when it comes to the flip side, we also expect our chairman to bend over and accept whatever every other chairman thinks that our players are worth. Like, I think that, like, you can't have your cake and eat it. I don't want to have to defend Daniel Levy. I'm not defending Daniel Levy, by the way. I'm defending the notion of business. It's logic. Like, there are negotiations, and Daniel Levy is not the only difficult negotiator. Like, Parish is known as being a very difficult guy to deal with. And by the way, that's not a criticism. Being a difficult negotiator is probably how these guys have made enough money to buy a fucking Premier League football club in the first place. So, like, they're not going to, like, just abdicate their entire business profile and model and thought process to satisfy the whims of fans who don't care about those things and just care about who it is that's playing in our team when we want to have those players. Luke, do you think, like, I mean, I don't know, like, am I coming across as defending the indefensible, or am I just saying, I don't know, like, Savinho, is 70 million pound punchy as hell for Savinho?
It's a little bit of both, isn't it? It's like one of them where Daniel Levy is a tough negotiator, which works perfectly in certain aspects, but then you have to take responsibility to understand that won't work in other aspects. That's just how things are. It's the same with when you're buying a player. If you're buying a player and he fits certain characteristics, well, actually, if you change your formation or change your style of play, that player might not fit. So you have to take with it as the whole package. You can't say, well, I'll take that person, that part of that chairman, and be really tough negotiators for this, but actually sometimes don't be tough and that. So it is a little bit of balance. But James is right. In certain deals, it does seem that sometimes it feels like to me that we might value a player at 60. We ask the question and they go, we want 55. And we go, oh, let's try and do 50 then. Let's just see if we can do. It's almost like whatever valuation someone has, we'll just try and get a bit off because then we've won. But then you flip it, as you said, the other side is Savinho right now a 70 million pound player? If he goes and pays that, Ndombele, I remember I was doing cartwheels all around the house about Ndombele, and look what happened there. there is a little bit of balance. I can't work out because I'm sure James has got a Richarlison shirt. So is he not a fan of him then?
Yeah, we're saying now. Who's laughing now, huh? Who's laughing now? Who's laughing now?
That
Well,
is,
James, where are you, mate? Are you on holiday, or is that just your? Is that your? Where
Look
are
at that,
we?
mate.
Whereabouts in the world is that?
Egypt.
Yes.
Nice, mate. Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well,
I'm going
better
home today, so it's not that great.
in Norwich, mate. That's for sure. You know.
With what you're saying there was two things you said. One was, why would we accept 5 million for Bissouma but then pay over the odds for Eze or something? Well, the reasons for that, for me, I mean, I wouldn't accept 5 million for Bissouma, but the reason for that is, for me, is Tottenham want to get rid of Bissouma because we don't think he's good enough. Eze, and for me, Slovenia are probably a couple of their better players in their team, so why they don't want to lose him. They want to keep hold of him. If you've got your best player, you're not going to be like, yeah, you can take him. And for me, this is where
player in Manchester City's team.
I think he's one of their best attackers. Yeah, I rate him highly. I do really like him. I really like him. But
the thing is with that, James, you've kind of contradicted yourself almost in your own statement that you say with Morgan Gibbs-White, well, we should have just paid a little bit more. Well, we met the release clause, but then you're saying with Eze, meet the release clause. So
no, but there's a difference because the release clause was public and one wasn't. So to avoid that whole problem, he could have just come out and gone, yeah, okay, there you go. We've been told he's 61 million. We bid you 63 million. Done. Everything's sorted.
But the point
Especially
with that
it is.
Yeah, but the point with that is then why, if there is a release clause, it doesn't matter in a sense how we found out. If we've met the release clause, it should be released. Now,
I
say
do
that,
agree
but
with...
then look what happened with Bayern Munich and Kane. Bayern Munich came in and offered, was it 50 million? So there's always them cheeky bids until you get to where you want to be. A good businessman is not going to come in and just, I mean, I know we see it with City and things like that, but they're different propositions, but you don't just go in and pay above the asking price because it's just to get it done. Not every time. I mean, sometimes I agree with you. There are times when you should do it, but there's a reason. Nobody else offered Crystal Palace 68 million or whatever the release clause was. So there's a reason behind that. Nobody valued him at that price.
100%, Soren, and that's what Johnny's been saying that to me for ages, right?
So
no one values him at that money.
I agree with you where you say come in and pay the release clause, but if you don't believe that player is worth that, why should you?
Yeah, but then move on.
Yeah,
if that's a release clause and they're saying 65 million, mate, or go away, we go, 60 million. They go, no, I said you 65 or go away. 62.5 million. It's like, just go away. Find someone else. Why are we the ones that go 30 days? Well, what about 50p more there? No, what about a free skywalk? What about a go-karting event? No, we're not interested.
If you go buy a house and your house is up for £280,000, you're always going to come in with an offer first. It's very rare you would go in and say, right, yeah, I'll give you 285 if the asking price is 280. So
I agree with what you're saying. In the grand scheme of things, I agree with what you're saying. But we can't rely on and say, look, all the from Richard Romanos that are reporting when they're coming out 3 days ago saying you're £7 million short. So we're going, okay,
that's £7 million is like 15%.
Yeah, but what do we do? Just go, okay, don't worry about it. Then we'll just for me, he's worth £67 million to me in our squad right now. He's worth that. So we have that issue of we either pay it up or we move on, but do one or the other. I have no problem with moving on and going for an Almo or anybody else, but move on.
Yeah, and I think that's the problem. But the question is then, so what's the figure that was £7 million short on? Is it the 68? The rumours are we've offered 55 plus add-ons. So does that mean they want 62? So
it's still too much money. Go on, Luke.
Today it's that they want more money up front so that they can go and get replacements because they want to get it looks like they want 2 players in to replace them.
Yeah,
but it's that age-old debate of what a club values him at and what a club's buying him at. They're two different things. So I always said with Harry Kane, for me, I'm not saying Harry Kane's worth 150 million, but I wouldn't have accepted anything below that because to me he was worth more than what to a buying him. So that is the thing we need to work out. Are we, if we're anywhere close to it? I think I completely get what you're saying, James, and you're right in terms of it has to get to a point where you go, do you know what, we've had enough now, we need to pull out. But if there's 7 million, that's probably worth carrying on, because I'll tell you what happens in a year's time when Eze goes for 75 million because he's had a brilliant season, everyone will go, well, why don't you just wait an extra week and pay the extra 7? So there is a little bit to that. It's really, really difficult. But we also don't know, and we were saying it earlier about Hincapié. I'm not saying Hincapié wouldn't be an improvement in this squad. 100% he will be. It's whether or not we want to generate that 60 million. Does the extra 7, I don't know, it sounds like small numbers, but does the extra 7 million at Eze stop us getting Savinho?
100%.
Or does it
right?
stop us going to get a striker or a centre-back? Because if it does, then you might go, actually, Eze on his own is not worth going and not worth improving elsewhere.
Who's the more important player, Lukey? Who's more important to our team right now, Eze or Savinho?
Savinho.
I think Savinho.
I think Savinho.
Hands down.
Yeah, I think Savinho.
Don't forget.
And what you were saying about Kudus as well, I actually think by signing Savinho, you make your Kudus signing better.
100%. 100%.
It's harder to mark. That's
why
I'm
saying this for months, right? If you have 2 wingers that are your outlets that can sit on the touchline or sit inside or whatever in the inside forward role, and they are both equally competent at taking a player on to the byline or cutting inside, and Savinho on the left with his left foot dominance, he's going to want to get to the byline. If he can do what Kudus can do, you don't need an £80 million 9 in the box. All you need is someone that can think on instinct, get into a bit of space, whether that's Solanke or Richarlison. Those guys suddenly get their 15 goals a season. Everyone's saying that we need to replace the 67 GA or whatever it was that's gone from Decky, Madders and Sonny. You get that in space. We've already got 4 of those 67 back in Richarlison and Richarlison and Kudus in one game. Or sorry, in one game, right?
Let's not forget though, Sean, that if you're paying over the odds for Savinho, that he's 6 years younger than Eze as well. So you're paying that money for a longer term and a probable sell-on if you get rid of him. And let's look at it another way. If we pay 65, say, for Eze and 65 for Savinho, the way our club goes with the injuries, you're paying, you've got less time with Eze over the long term with Savinho. So to me, that argument itself says Savinho is the more important player because you're going to get more out of him.
Yeah, I agree. Let me just quickly, a few super chats here, and appreciate everyone's been super generous today. It's amazing. Lubo, apparently, I haven't texted him back. Lubo, if you're listening to this, mate, I hope everything's okay. He says he is going to jump on, but some motorcyclist drove into his wife's car or something, and I think everyone's okay. But there's obviously some delays there. So Lubo may make the stream, may not. But if he does, just because there's been some incidents in his private life in the last hour, that doesn't mean I'm going to let up on him on the change for Tottenham stuff. No, but I hope everyone's okay. I hope the motorbike rider is okay, and I hope your wife and your daughter are also all good. Lubo, if you're listening, everyone. This is from Drew. Big up, Drew. Just pay the extra $20 million to get him in. Also, everyone, he's shit. Just rip up the contract and get rid. Nothing like Drewzilla to put in an absolute bomber of a super chat to summarise my point. Yeah, why say I take 10 minutes to get to the point? Drew can say it in 10 words in a sentence. 100%. The fan base is the fan base. Big up to you, my man. Thank you so much, Drew. Love you to pieces. Boris has said, Porro played the day before he signed for Spurs, and the sporting president said he wasn't going to be leaving them and coming to Spurs. 100%. Like, listen, if you're looking for reasons to be pessimistic, then Glasner saying that is definitely going to play into that sort of philosophy. But yeah, I hope it still gets done. But I think Savinho is more likely. But there's a reason to sit there and think that both, doesn't matter how ambitious and how willing Tottenham are to pay the money. If you haven't actually got a number that you need to pay from Parish or from Man City, and you're just saying, what, you've rejected this one, okay, we'll come back with another one. At some point, if you go and put 70 million quid on the table for Savinho and Man City still reject that, at some point you're thinking, now we're just wasting our time, they're taking the piss. And, look, what I would say just quickly is you're pricing in perfection for a player that's 21 at 70 million quid. It's unlikely that Tottenham are ever going to be able to get their money back on him even if he wants to move to a bigger club again in a couple of years' time. Like, I would imagine Savinho is using the Tottenham transfer as a mechanism to get him minutes to get to the World Cup. And if he smashes it out of the park and then Real Madrid come calling, or Barcelona or someone in like that comes in 12 months' time, he'll say he wants to leave Tottenham and go again. The problem is that if you're paying £80 million, 90 million, whatever, some ridiculous number, even if he does smash it out of the park, is he going to be £100 million player in a couple of years? It's very unlikely, right? Very unlikely. So, you know, on the one hand, I would like that. I appreciate that Daniel Levy has to look at these trades and thinks, you know, is there a sell-on value? If there isn't, then what's the point? But on the other hand, I would prefer if Daniel Levy would occasionally think about a player as less so what is the future value to someone else, and more so what is the current value to us. You know, and I think Savinho is a player that sort of, I think Luke, you're bang on, mate, with regards to what you said around him bringing more out of Kudus as well, more space and things. I'll come back to you, sorry, Luke, in a second to finish your point. But thank you very much for the super chat, Boris. Troy's Cram has said, don't you think that Eze makes up that 7 million just in advanced league position and the possibility of a longer run in the Champions League? 100%. You can make the argument that if you're thinking about the value proposition of a 27, 28-year-old, same with Polinia, think less so of sell-on value, think more so of merit point money and what those 5, 6, 7, 9 points in the league do in terms of in league position and what you get then at the end of the season. But at some point, you're still paying too much money. Appreciate you, Troy's. John B. Ginger. I know that face. Is this the guy I met at Luton? I think maybe. Deal variables on a deal sheet do not just include price. I'm not sure what you mean by that.
I think he means like buy on percentage or instalments, or just there's more to it than just accepting, say, £50 million done. I think there's a more, how's it going to be paid, why, when. So I think, yeah, which I agree. My only thing to that would be, it's not like somebody's giving me, you, or one as just a general public guy, this is your offer, and then we go, okay, let me get back to you. People that are receiving these letters know what they're doing, and they're reading everything 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. It's their kind of role. They will go back and say, right, Daniel, they want 50 million up front and 10 million here, and then 10 million if you win the league, or whatever it is. So, and then Daniel Levy should go, well, we can't afford that. We wanted X, Y, Z. This is our max we can do now. Fire that back. If they say, no, we can't afford it. That for me, is where you should be at. If they say we want 50 million and Daniel Levy goes, look, we'll give you 40 million with X, Y, Z. They go, no, we want 55. Daniel Levy comes back, goes, look, we could do 57. They say, no, we want 50, absolute ballpark. Then you go, right, yeah, that's our max. We can't afford to offer you that anymore. Thank you, goodbye, move on. And I think that is the problem for me. It's not will we or won't we get him. It's if he is, bid it. If he ain't, move on.
100%. Crystal Palace has just gone 1-0 up, and was it Eze?
It's been disallowed.
Yeah.
It's been disallowed.
Eze scored.
It's been disallowed.
Fucking hell! Is he saying? What's he saying? Is he saying
disallowed?
goodbye? No, I know, but I'm trying to look at his celebration. Like, is he saying goodbye?
He ran up to the camera. He ran up to the camera and said, "Coy's Daniel" or something.
He got the pen and wrote on the camera, "Coy's."
Yeah, no, it's been disallowed for a push from the free kick.
Is it?
But that for me is that's the only issue with me with both of these signings, and more so Eze, because we was linked with him before the window opened. Is if you can't afford him, just move on. Don't kind of get caught up with this to and fro and then end up not. Could you imagine if we don't buy him now and we've got 2 weeks left or however many days left? For me personally, I think this is the first manager in a long time where I actually really like what I'm seeing. I like the fact we went to 3 at the back of PSG. I like the fact we changed to 4 at the back, went more attacking. I've seen improvements. I'll eat humble pie. Pape Sarr has been magnificent the last 3 or 4 games. I didn't know there was a player like that in him. Whether it's just a few games or not, maybe. I knew he always had the legs, and I always thought if you're winning 2-0, you bring Pape Sarr on. I didn't know he could perform how he is now. So for me, I really like Frank. So I really don't want Daniel Levy and Vinay and whoever it is messing it up. Just give him the best opportunity to succeed, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah, I hear you. But like, you know, you end up, if you move on too soon, you never know how close you are, do you? You kind of, it's that kind of stonecutter analogy that Ange Postecoglou mastered the art of sort of saying, like, if you give up just before, you don't know how close you are. But I hear you at the same time, move on. But then where do you move on? Which we'll come to next. Just real quick, Tony Rodriguez, member for 15 months. Thoughts about Vicario? My thoughts super quick. I don't rate him. I think it's a massive issue. I think he's a complete liability. And I think that also Kinsky is no better in my mind. Luke, what are you saying about Vicario, mate?
I think, again, priorities. I don't think he's a priority now, but I think next year that's the position that you need to start looking at. Again, where we are right now is obviously so far down the scale. But when you go top 8, top 6, top 4, start looking at whether these players are top 8, top 6, top 4. Vicario is nowhere near that top 4 level. So, yeah, for me, it will be an upgrade. But again, we're talking about spending 60 on Eze. Should we be doing that? Should we not? I certainly wouldn't be going to spending 60, 70 million on a goalkeeper now because we've got other priorities that we need to focus on.
Just super quick, mate. I'll come back to you. That is in no way, shape, or form a foul, in my opinion. What the fuck is that as a VAR decision? They're ruining the game of football. It's a disgrace.
I really like Vicario. I'm a bit gutted you boys said that. I really like him.
Well, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. Yeah, I think a shot stopper and a goalkeeper. I think he's very good. It's the playing out with his feet that's the problem. And I'm not saying that that's not a problem. That is obviously a problem, like I just said. But I think once you've got a better defence in front of him, I think you'll see 10 times less mistakes. I think you'll see more solidity. I think he's better at coming for the ball under Frank after a few weeks. You could see that he come out yesterday, punched the ball clear from a corner from Burnley. I just think that he's not good enough playing with his feet. If we could eliminate that process, which we did bring in that Liverpool goalkeeper coach, in fairness, so we'd like to see how he gets on. I think shot stopping and saving shots is fantastic. Is the playing the football with his feet, which I know is a big thing.
Has he ever saved a single penalty in his time at Tottenham?
No, yeah, that's a fair point.
I think the other day. Has he done something like 5 in 40 or 50 penalties against him? Is saved 5 or something, but then you don't know how poor them 5 were, do you? So I'm kind of in the middle.
Like saved or the penalty not scored, like the one against Coutinho.
Well, that's what I say. I don't know, but I'm in the middle of both these two. I think on his day he's a fantastic shot stopper, but you have no confidence of him commanding his area. You know, those crosses come in, he's too lightweight. You put the ball to his feet, you always think, oh Christ, what's he going to do? If you could improve his footwork, but put a little bit more muscle on him, then I think he'd be all right. But the thing I don't like about him is every single thing that goes wrong, every single goal that goes in, it's always somebody else's fault. It's never his fault. You know, it's very rare you see him say, oh, sorry, mate, you know, my fault, blah, blah, blah. It's like he starts shouting at everybody around him, and you think, well, it's your fault. You know, you are not the world class. I mean, when he first come, that first season, you kind of thought, do you know what? Yeah, he's not bad. But then you start to see the mistakes, you start to see the flaws in his game, and he could be a top class goalie, but he's not there yet.
But is that fair to say if we're all slating the players and saying, well, Ange's system didn't work, and then criticise a keeper for exactly the same thing? We didn't have no players in the box. There was no defending, no defensive coaching.
A lot of the relegated clubs, when they have goalkeepers, they get excessive praise when actually they've just done decent jobs. Like Ben Foster's and all of that, they earned some decent praise because they were seeing so many shots at them. So if anything, he should really be.
But I think he made didn't he make the most saves last season, or one of the most saves to go like shots?
I don't think his shot is in question by anyone. I think it's his and the way he commands it. I think that's the problem that you've got. But
again, that's where I think I'm not saying that he's good at that, because he's not. Yeah. But what I am saying is when you have a defensive coach, and we can see it before games, Frank's drilling them corners, crosses. Hopefully, it's a matter of time where he kind of picks that confidence back up. He goes, right, okay, yeah, right, this is I know when to come, I know when not to come. And I'm not saying that he's good at it or he's not good at it, but like what we said, he's definitely nowhere near the top of my let's replace list. Nowhere near. He's not a problem.
But I would caveat that as well, James, and say yes, he maybe made the most saves, but he probably made the most mistakes that led to a goal as well.
No, he made none. He actually made no mistakes leading directly to a goal last season. I had this debate with an Arsenal fan, and Raya made something like 8, and he actually made none. He made the mistake before the goal, but he never made the mistake leading to a direct goal.
He almost made the mistake
that a few of his kicks
Europa League
that he popped up led to goals.
Yeah, that's it was a direct kick out, and then there's a bit of play beforehand. Yeah, but direct mistakes.
There's a mistake in there that has led to a goal. Not necessarily he's put it to the feet and then it's gone straight in, but you know. There were many a times last season where you think if he'd have caught the ball,
I agree.
If it have, I don't know, like on the corners or the free kicks where he was nowhere near the ball, that is still a goalkeeping mistake that led to a goal. But like you say, I think with the right coaching and the right belief behind him, he probably could be that better goalkeeper because he's got the shot stopping. You know, You look at him and you think some of the saves that he made were absolutely world class, and that it gives you. But I don't know. There's just a little thing that within that you don't have. If the ball's at his feet, you're always waiting for something to happen. That's the problem.
Just quickly, guys. So this came out from Spurs Journo. I don't know who he is, but
content's got content, mate.
Content's got a content, 100%. That's the content. I respect the game, 100%. Talks with Crystal Palace ended last night with no final agreement on payment structure. Crystal Palace complain that if not enough money is given up front, they will struggle to enter the market for a suitable replacement. Talks will continue. So here's the thing, right? And I obviously no idea how much money they want up front. That does lead into other things that have been said regarding. They're not far away in terms of the overall structure. It's just the terms are on Tottenham's side. I think there was a couple of... I did a video about this yesterday. But then if you zoom forward this one here. Tottenham are interested in Brentford's Nathan Collins. Bees have no need to sell him given summer departures and have made the player their captain for this season. United and Liverpool are also interested, which comes from Mike Keegan of the Daily Mail. Here's a question for you guys. Do you think that the solution here to getting both of these deals done, if it comes down to Tottenham are looking to bring in a defender and obviously Eze and Savinho, but they don't have enough cash to be able to give both of the sellers or all three sellers what they want up front for Hincapie, for Eze and for Savinho, and consequently, does the Nathan Collins story suggest a solution potentially? And I like Collins, but I think he's a very, very handy player. He's not a sexy name, but he's a very good player. But does the Collins story suggest that maybe... I'll go back to that guy, John, who said there's other ways that you can put things on the deal sheet, like sell-on fees, right? So maybe the way to get all three of these deals done, or to get Eze done, is to give them what they want, more money up front, so they can go and get their replacement in whoever it's going to be, Harvey Elliott or someone else. But if that's going to require more cash that doesn't allow us to go and do a Hincapie or a Savinho, then two of the other solutions would be, right, screw off Hincapie, go and get Nathan Collins. That'll be less money, right? Hopefully you can make that deal work, even if it's still a decent chunk of it up front, because Brentford aren't going to charge the same amount of money. Welcome to the show, Lubo. But on top of that, you could also maybe say to City, look, we'll do 55 million guaranteed, and we'll give you 30% of any potential sell-on or 25% of any potential sell-on, thereby reducing the amount of cash that you need to give City up front. They get a slice of the future value of the player. You can then give that difference to Crystal Palace to make them happy, so they can go and get Harvey Elliott, and at the same time, Tottenham can go and get a Nathan Collins rather than a Pierre Hincapie. Luke, what are you saying?
Yeah, that was my point earlier. It wasn't that Hincapie is not a good player and won't play loads in this team, this system, this season. It's just that if you have that amount of money to go, are you going to spend it on a centre back, or are you going to propulsion it elsewhere? So that's the thing. I think that if you're dropping £60 million on a centre half, then that's going to be out of our price range if we then get Eze and Savinho as well. So that was exactly what I was saying. And yeah, with regards to like what we're saying about Eze as well, I think that's the frustration with the fans, is that if we moved on this earlier on in the window, now there are obviously different factors that might reason why we've taken this long, but if you move on it earlier, then we're a bit clearer on what we need, what we can get, and then maybe Parish has got more time to be able to then go and buy the players that he thinks that comes in. So I know that the way we operate seems to be, let's see if we can wait around till the end, and there might be a bit of a bargain. You could argue that Liverpool should have done that, and they might have had a better chance at Isak because they'd have had more money from not signing Ekatike. But you then also, again, it's part of the thing. If you do that, then you rely on other clubs going, actually, I need more time to sign my replacements. Therefore, you're going to have to wait even longer. So it's part of the territory if you operate like this. But yeah, it's a tough one. But for me, as I say, I wouldn't be dropping £60 million on a centre half. I think if we're going to do that, we're going to go and spend 20 to 30, something like that. And then we'll focus on the attacking options. Or even Paqueta is the perfect one. I think if we've got extra 60 million, I'd be putting that down at West Ham and going, you need to revamp your team. How about another 60? And then we can go from there.
You need to revamp your team by taking the last good player that you have absent.
I agree.
So if you've seen it on Twitter, they're saying that they've mugged us off of Kudos and that he's useless and that he doesn't goal, he doesn't score, he doesn't assist. So
yeah,
you never know.
It's like the geezer at work that acts like the hard man and goes home to his missus and gets beat up, isn't it? That's what they've done with Kudos.
Jesus, the analogies on today's show. If I'm usually cancelling myself, but you guys are cancelling me thick and fast here. Lubo, how's your wife and your daughter, mate? Everything okay?
No, my daughter's good, thanks. Yeah, she's fine.
How are you feeling, mate?
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. All good today.
What happened to your protest, buddy?
It wasn't my protest. I went along to see if there was anyone there to interview, and there wasn't. but from Rain Man came up. He wanted to say hello to you. He was asking if you were around.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He's an accountant.
I thought I saw Sean holding the banner. Was that not you, mate? Was it?
No, I was too busy. I was holding a couple of beers, but I was double parking with 2 pints of lager.
That's what I like to do.
Lubo, mate, I don't want to side. I just got to ask you for a couple of minutes. As someone that's vehemently leaving out, do you not just sort of take a slight little glimpse into the way the actual fan base feels when you see 15 people, and that's being generous?
About 25. There's about 25 drifting on there and back. It was just wrong. It was wrong. If you're protesting about the transfer markets, then I get that. I understand, but you've got to pick the right time, and you've got to pick a time where it's going to get maximum impact. And if you haven't finished the transfer window yet, then you leave yourself open. Unfortunately, if you're protesting that they're doing nothing, if within the next 2 weeks they make some great signings, then whichever, you either look silly or I suppose you can spin it that the extra pressure ramped up and they bought the players. But I just think that what we heard earlier in the summer, that money's there, money's coming to the club, and they got money to spend. So, if they're going after 3 players, then, if depending on what the deal is and how many repayments over how many years you're paying, then you've got the money to go and get, if you were going to go and get Eze, Savio and Hincapié, because they're the 3 names currently that are being bandied about, then you got the money to do it.
Do you think even if the window closed yesterday, right, given that there was 20, you say 25, I think you're being incredibly generous, but even if the window closed yesterday, do you think that how many people do you think would have been there yesterday at the protest if the window closed and there was no more chance to bring in those 2 players?
Loads.
Loads?
Yeah, I reckon it would have been loads because it's not acceptable. We can't be. Yeah, I personally would have. I would have been loads.
What they need to do next
like the biggest protest ever?
Maybe not that many, but I think if this Eze and thingy falls through, that protests, triples, quadruples, because people will be like, right, this is not acceptable. It's the same old, same old. Then if it goes a week again and we've got no one in, because I think how long's left? Is there 2 weeks left?
2 weeks tomorrow at 5.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
So
Monday
I
at
think
5.
in a week's time, if no one's in, you're going to hear a lot more same old, nothing's changed. And then that builds momentum for the whole Levy out and change for Tottenham.
Which is weird, James. They should have held off until Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Agreed.
You know,
if they're sensible, the next one will be on a zebra crossing, because then at least you've got more people in the picture. But and give them all a phone number for Deliveroo, and if they all order a Deliveroo, then there's triple the money. But I think it's like
Abbey Road, wasn't it? The front of Abbey Road.
I mean, it's like you say, another week or two, and there's probably a big difference. But the problem is when you're going to do a protest, it's no good having 100 or 200 people there. That it's not enough. You've got to have thousands there. You've got to be like the one last year where you've got 2, 3, 4, 5,000, and you've got to do it at the right time. And look, if you're going to do it on a match day,
the last protest, mate, the big one, that 3, 4, whatever it was, 1,000 people that were there. First and foremost, that was peak problems, right? We weren't looking like we were going to win the Europa League. We were out of both cups. I think we were out of both cups at the time.
We were. It was the week after, Sean. It was Man United. Right.
So we were out of both cups. We weren't in all likelihood going to get to the Europa League final. We were probably 14th in the league at that point, something like that. The worst it could ever be, and still only 3%, 4%, 5% of the match-going fans went to it. And even then, that was on the back of ridiculous amounts of PR, TalkSport, BBC, Sky Sports, all of the major media players. They all went down and they all pushing the story. TalkSport spoke about it 4 days in the 5 leading up to the thing, and you still only got 5% or whatever of the match-going fans at the worst situation that the Tottenham have been in for 20 years in terms of how bad it looked. Like, is there just not the potential reality that these Levy out people need to realise, the people that froth for it all the time, that they need to realise that maybe, just maybe, not everyone online is a strong representation of the feelings of Tottenham fans that go to the game. Like, that most people appreciate the stadium, appreciate that we are up against, some ridiculous levels of competition because of money that is obscene. Like, is it possible that there's just a giant misreading of the narrative, and that even if the window shut like yesterday, and we had the window we've currently got, you might get 200 people or 500 people, but in reality, it's still a tiny percentage of the match-going fans who actually sit there and think, we just won a Europa League. Like, shut up.
I don't think, honestly, we saw, 2,500 tops at the best.
Whatever. I'll give you the credit of saying it's 4,000. Yeah. That doesn't matter. Whatever.
I thought 2.5, maybe 3 that at its peak. And that was disappointing because you've just gone out of. We just lost to Liverpool and Villa in the 2 cups. I don't think the fans are as passionate at Spurs as they are at the other big clubs. I genuinely don't.
It just doesn't cross your mind, mate, that not everyone or most people don't think about it the way you do.
Yeah,
is that not a bigger possibility? Rather than challenging the passion of Tottenham fans, maybe passion doesn't mean
about it.
Negativity.
Could I put a different spin on it? Could we not make say for example, the people that are like in between or happy to go to the stadium? The only thing I would say is, if you joined in on the protest or the numbers went up, even if it doesn't get Levy out, I personally believe it puts pressure on. And I think pressure on any board is a good thing, whether it's a little bit, a lot, whether they're going to sell or they're not going to sell. I think if the board have a bit of pressure, they know, right, okay, I need to do something, or I need to try my best at X, Y, or Z, or even if it's not the sort of Levy out movement, I think sometimes having your voice heard just puts a bit of pressure on and it makes people act in a certain way. And that's where I would go with it.
James,
also, I've got to shoot because I've got to get ready now to catch the plane home, unfortunately.
Yeah. Appreciate you for coming on, mate. Appreciate you for coming on, buddy. Love you. Thanks.
Holiday, James.
Yeah.
What's that, mate?
You had a good holiday?
Yeah, lovely. To be honest, it's just been me and the wife. The kids are at home with Nan and Grandad, so it's been pretty good. Take care, boys.
Enjoy yourself.
Quick, no, before Sorin pulls up an analogy.
I was going to say, I was actually going to say that if you invited Bonnie Blue down to give out a bit of tackle, you'd get more people there. But well, on a serious note, I think the big problem is with the protest that the one that was successful last year actually changed the tune from it being Daniel Levy out to we want change. And I think if that's the actual model where we're saying we want to protest because the transfer windows aren't good enough, you're probably going to get more people, because as much as there is a lot of hate for Daniel Levy, I think there's also a lot of credit given to him because of the way the financial side of the club is being run. Now, the problem with Tottenham fans, and I think Ian falls into this category, he is a football fan. He's not the business fan. He wants to see success on the pitch. That is the only thing that is important to him, which is the same as all us fans. But I think, so, you know, within the fan base, they look at what we've got, and you see the nice big shiny stadium, and you see how well the financial side of the club is run. The problem is it doesn't portray down to the pitch. And Ian, same as me, we've seen the glory times of football. We've seen those big players. Ian's always putting it in the chats about the Klinsmans, all these big players, Ozzy Ardiles, Ricky Villa, these type of players. The problem is these type of players in today's market are 60, 70, 80, 90 million pound players that Tottenham just aren't going to buy left, right and centre. And to get the change we want isn't necessarily to change Levy, it's to change the Lewis family, the way they are. They're the ones with the money. It's not Daniel Levy. And to me, I think the protests are just, they're pushed the wrong way. Everybody just, when we hear the protests, the only thing that comes in my mind is it's a Daniel Levy out protest. It's not change for Tottenham. It's not changed the way we run the on-pitch side of football. It's just pure hatred for Daniel Levy. And that, to me, is why a lot of people don't turn up.
Those hardcore people. That's what they represent. They hate Daniel Levy. And so it doesn't, any opportunity will do. They think that the more protests that you do, the more likely it is that things are going to turn up. It's like, I don't know.
Hang on, let me just simplify this or clarify this situation. I was on last word on Spurs with Billy T on Friday, and before we went on, I said to Billy, please clarify what change for Tottenham actually means and what the protest is about this weekend. I said, is change for Tottenham ENIC out? Is change for Tottenham Levy out? Is change for Tottenham a similar, the same situation that United have had, where you had 25% has been sold to an outside investor who's going to come in and run the football side. So what does change for Tottenham actually mean? Or does it mean putting pressure on, does it mean Levy being sidelined onto the business side and not having anything to do with the football? With the football side, and he said that he said this week's protest isn't an ENIC out, Levy out protest. It's purely because we're fed up with we're coming into the league season and we're unprepared. We brought two players in for the first team only. We lost Maddison, albeit I know through injury, but he should have had cover brought in as well because we know he is injury prone. And we had Micky and Ku's out for months, and we've lost Sonny. So we've gained 2 and lost 2. So in effect,
the window hasn't closed yet, Lubo. And when you just quickly, mate, just like this notion of like,
Sean.
So
this was their reason. Sure, I'm explaining their reasoning behind.
I heard it. Their rationale is essentially change can mean anything at all. This particular one is based around the protest, but like that. So then it's not a movement; it's the whims of the particular people that are owning it, and they have to go on and articulate via Last Word on Spurs or whoever else will listen to them. Today we feel angry about this, therefore we're doing that. That's not a broad sweeping brush. That is the people that are in charge of that movement. They've decided that this justifies the protest today. But if you're representing something called change, which they have celebrated, it can mean anything at all in an attempt to try to grab as many people, when in reality, those people, if you go and look at their personal Twitter accounts, they are fundamentally Levy out. Right, Billy T, and I've met the guy. He's like a lovely guy, and he's very respectful, and he's passionate, and he's articulate, and very good captain, visible captain of the movement. But I've seen his tweets. These bastard owners, blah 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 blah. Right, I've seen that guy Jay's tweets. They don't represent change. Like, that's not the broad sweeping thing. Those guys represent the same thing you do, which is our owners are not fit for purpose. And so when they cherry pick, today we're doing it about this because we think this, then they're not. It's broad in its message, but the goalposts are moved to whenever they can to find a reason to go. And they think that by making it broad, they can get more numbers in, which they will then interpret and will push the narrative that the more people that they've captured under this broad sweeping net, that they all mean the same thing, which is Levy out, which is how they feel. But in reality, when 25 people turn up, that should be the clearest sign that it is incredibly naive, it's incredibly foolish, it's reputation damaging, and they should never have done it. It's so stupid to the vast majority of moderate fans. And then when I put that sort of comment on Twitter, and the people that respond to me, the sort of things they call me, the sort of thing, you're a Levy, get Levy's dick out of your mouth. Like, how are you ever going to win over the moderates if the people that turn up and feel that way, and some of those people don't even turn up themselves, sure, and they tell you that if you challenge that narrative of whether it was smart, get Levy's dick out of your mouth? What are we doing here? It's like it's schoolyard bollocks, mate. It's pathetic.
No, but listen, Sean, you've got people that hide behind a keyboard and just send what they want, and then you've got fans who are more committed to how they feel, that will turn up or won't. So
they should go back to just Levy out, mate. They should say what it is. When they rock up on the first game of the season and the last game bar one that was competitive, apart from the PSG game, and we were this close to winning a second trophy, they thought the fact that we missed out on that trophy, if we'd won the trophy, it wouldn't have gone ahead, right? If we signed Eze, it would have been cancelled. I've seen that on Twitter. So it's fair weather protesting, but they thought that because we failed in the Super Cup, because we hadn't got Eze and Savinho over the line, that 1,000 people would turn up, because they're, again, assuming that everyone feels the way or should feel the way that they do. And 99% of the fans don't feel that way. Maybe 60% of the online fans do, but the vast majority of people, you can see by the numbers. And it's not like the people that go to the game aren't, for the most part, walking past that protest. They're literally walking past it to get to the stadium. If you're coming from Seven Sisters or from White Hart Lane, you either have to detour 50 yards up the road or you're walking past it. And yet 25 people turned up.
Sure, this was opposite the grounds.
Well, there you go then. Everybody had the chance to go and stand on one side of the high road from the other, and they avoided it. Read the fucking room. Read the fucking room.
Yeah, but the thing is, Sean, football it's not the same game as it used to be. Football in the days of, when Ian was probably a kid and I was a kid and we started to support Tottenham, it was about a release at the end of the week. It was about going down to your local team and supporting your local team type thing. Today, football is just about business. And that is the big change within it. Us fans maybe aren't any different, but the actual money and things like that, it's all about business. And for some people, and I don't mean this as an insult or anything, but for some people, they haven't moved on from the days that they're, the happy days that they remember. When people used to go and watch football and stand up and watch football. I mean, half the fan base probably don't even remember being able to stand up and watch football. So they just see the game as it is now, and all of a sudden think the glory days, we want to win this, we want to see that. We see Man City winning everything. We see Chelsea winning everything. Not every club can be run the same. Now, the problem is we see these protests, and look, don't care whether you agree with them or not. Those people standing on that line are standing up for what they believe, and big up to them, because I think that's good. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right, and that's the problem. That I think it was you that maybe said it, or somebody said it last season, when you walk past this and the abuse that some, both sides are giving, not just the protesters but the other side, the abuse. Well, that's going to stop people going and standing on the line with them, because
But there wasn't abuse. There wasn't abuse. Sorry, there was
reports
online
on the early ones. There was, and I don't mean abuse. Maybe that's too strong, but there was shouting. You're doing this wrong. You're doing that wrong. We don't agree with you. We don't. I've been called all sorts by people that were picketing because a bit like Sean, I was standing up for Daniel Levy. Well, I'm not going to go and stand on that line, and because of the abuse I was getting online. So you can't tell me that there wasn't people, both sides, and I'm not just saying, people walking past were probably shouting at those picketing, saying you're doing wrong, same coming back. But until it's a unified thing, you are not going to get the numbers to stand on that line to agree with you, because it's not just one thing that you're arguing of. So say if somebody like me, I would agree with you fully that the transfer window has been shit. We should be doing change. But if I stand on that line, then everybody assumes I'm also Daniel Levy out.
100%.
So you can't, this is why a lot of them are failing, because half of them are there for one thing and half of them are there for another thing. But you don't agree on the things that you're there for. That's the problem.
And that's the problem, Soren. You're spot on, mate, because people, and that's what I said in the tweet, right? It's like it's reputation damaging when 15 people, 25 people turn up. Look, I'll get your take now, just quickly. Like, if you're someone that says, we're everything, change can mean anything, but then you have to go onto an online thing and say, this is the specific reason why we're trying to protest today. Even if that's only heard by 1,000 people or 10,000 people on Last Word on Spurs, to everybody else, including the club, which apparently the benefit of these protests is the indirect pressure that it puts on. Do you think Daniel Levy's going to look at what happened yesterday, and by their own logic, they've already taken credit for, since we put the Change for Tottenham protest up, we've suddenly been linked with Savinho and Eze like they're responsible for it. Embarrassing, by the way. Absolutely embarrassing narrative. That sort of shit. Whoever's writing those Change for Tottenham tweets needs like a little bit of help with thinking before they act, because it's madness. But when 25 people turn up, doesn't that do the opposite? Doesn't that completely undermine? And Daniel Levy and the people at Tottenham go, yeah.
So one quick question, Ian. Yeah? One quick question then. So I think I'm right in what you said, that the protest was about the transfer window being crap and things like this.
Yes.
Was there a chant Levy out?
No.
Right, that's fine. No, I was going to say if the chants come, because obviously the protest last season, where it was quite successful, was supposed to be about the running of the club and things like that.
It was very quiet. There was no singing, no dancing, nothing. People going up. There was a banner there. People just going up, speaking, and drifting off. It was one of those. It was like
it's just the old Levy out crew that have swapped their white banner with a blue writing saying "Levy out, get these cancers out of our club." They just replaced it with something else.
You see what?
Lipstick on a pig.
I'm sad about that, because it's important that there is a voice for the fans that's credible, and they did a lot of good work last season, an awful lot of good work, and I was just hoping that it wouldn't go ahead. And even if put it back 2 weeks, if it's coming up to Bournemouth and say the Eze deal's gone south and the Savio deal's gone down, if you're in that situation and we're struggling, we're struggling for third choices and fourth choices in the last week of the window, then yes, you're entitled to be upset, because the club had months and months before the transfer window opens. Then, and I understand it's a moving situation, and Savio wasn't around, at the start of the window. Players come up, and then you've got to move quickly. A player, a different club will buy a player. And for every one player who's going to come into the team, there's a player that's going to drop out. Spurs might be interested in that player that's dropping out from whatever team. So it is an evolving situation. But if they don't move quickly, and if we leave Thomas Frank unprepared, then yes, the fans have a right to protest. But when you've got 2 and a bit weeks to go and Spurs are serious, they're seriously involved in trying to bring in 3 players, then, I think you've just got to take a step back and say, hey, let's,
But Lubo, what happens if we say? I'll ask Luke this question. Right? Sorry, Luke. Luke's very polite and respectful, and I'm talking too much, so I'm going to shut up. But Luke, if they didn't do yesterday and they waited, right, and then presuming that we did sign or didn't sign, if the protest then didn't go ahead on September the 2nd, because we did get 2 players in, but it does go ahead if we don't, are the people that run Change for Tottenham, if that's their thing, are they secretly rooting for Tottenham's transfer failure because it's better for their cause? And if so, how fucked up is that?
Well, it depends. If they're like, for me, Change for Tottenham, I'm fairly new to YouTube. So in terms of what Change for Tottenham represents for me is some sort of change. Now, your change could be Daniel Levy steps aside and hands over all footballing operations to someone else. It could be that Daniel Levy goes out. For me, it's you're not happy with the way we're currently operating. And I think there are a fair few fans that are probably happy to say that's the situation that they're in. They're not Levy out, but they would like us to change. They'd like us to do transfers quicker. Instead of having 2 through the door, we've got 4 through the door, whatever. So I think that's part of it. So yes, in a way, it does impact. If Spurs are doing well, then the protests are less relevant because, again, you're trying to preach to the community that don't have a strong feeling on it. Because if they have a strong feeling, they're already either in or out. So but also, and you'll know this, Sean, because you've started to do that, the transfers about other clubs, is that other clubs will also look at Spurs, and after the weekend, they will sit there and they will go, you've just signed Kudus. You've just gone to one of your rivals and signed him. The Morgan Gibbs-White situation, you nearly got him over the line. You've signed Palhinha, you're European champions, and you haven't even had your first game. And the transfer window's still open. And these are all factors that have to be considered for you to be able to make a fair, reasonable judgment. And I am, as I said before, I completely understand why they protest. I think fans have the right to do that 100%.
Same.
But Liam, what you said is that fans should have a voice, and 1,000,000% completely agree. But I think what Sean's trying to say is, by their voice, by people not turning up, is that not the fans' voice? Is that actually everyone's quite current situation, but not as annoyed as if it was the end of the transfer window. And I think that's just what it was. It just looks from the outside. We're so engrossed in Spurs. We look at all the ergonomics, every single little detail that goes ahead at Spurs. We're so ingrained in it. Other clubs, media, they're not going to be that ingrained. And they're just going to look at it like, well, your banners are all one trophy, 25 years. Well, you've just got another one. Like, you've only got a trophy 2 months ago. So it's not about trophies because you only got one 2 months ago. And I think that's the problem. It's not necessarily all of the reasons that are being done. I think it's just how it looks from a landscape, from stepping back, how it looks. And I think this is just poor judgment on terms of it being done now. Now, if they was to say, oh, actually, after the first transfer window, these 2 signings don't get done, we're doing a protest, then I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, I think I'd go to that. But right now, they're all going, all right, we don't think they're going to get over the line. But as what Sean just said, if we go, we've won the first game, say we win the second and third game, Frank looks like he's doing brilliantly, we go and sign Savinho, we go and get Eze, then fans are going to look back and go, how about the protest that they done 2 weeks ago? Like, what was the point in that? How entitled do Spurs fans look? So I think that's the problem. It's just the timing of it, for me, just didn't make any sense.
No, it was. And I think whoever advised them, to go for a protest, seriously, they don't read the room. I don't think there's enough, they should be out there talking to people who understand how fans feel. I just think there was, they probably had a few people on, what are you doing? Keep it going. And it's like, sometimes you've got to say, wait, hold on. There's got to be something to protest about. There's got to be something serious to protest about. You can't just protest about any little thing. There's got to be a big headline to protest about, and it's got to have maximum impact. Otherwise there is no point. And you're right. We just won a trophy. The performance on Wednesday night, I thought was absolutely superb. I went on our show on last Monday and said we'd lose 5-1. Honestly thought we'd get battered. And the way PSG played, that last 10 minutes, thank God they didn't play the whole game for 90, like that. Because we probably would have been smised. But you've got to read the room. And we played well on, you got a trophy, you've got 2 players through the door. They're in the market for definitely 2, possibly 3. And they play well in the Super Cup. So hang on a second. If you look at a risk and reward type situation,
exactly.
There's more positives at the moment than negatives. So hold your horses, keep your powder dry.
Why hold your horses, keep your powder dry though? Do you understand what you're saying? What you're saying there?
You can't protest if there's nothing to protest about, Sean.
No, exactly. Right. If there's nothing to protest about, then why are you protesting? And if it's a case of hold your horses, keep your powder dry, it means the second that there is, we're back at it. Which is like, this is the problem that I have with the fundamental mindset. I've got absolutely. By the way, people are saying my obsession with we're just talking about it because it's pertinent today, right? But I've been to every protest except yesterday, and I would have been to yesterday's. I wouldn't even call it a protest, but I would have been to yesterday's. Had it not been for me sitting in the premium. Thank you, Johnny H. But the reality is that I believe that there are people in that ecosystem, and please, for the love of God, do not pretend that this is an illusion or like an absolute like fallacy. There are people who root for Tottenham's downfall because everything that's bad that happens to Tottenham puts wind in their sails, and they have attached themselves, their personal ego has been attached to that narrative, that mindset, that movement in one form or another. And so they're unhappy when good things happen to Tottenham because they might see it as momentary good news, but the bigger picture is Daniel Levy. But what's the problem if you've just won a trophy and then the argument is, well, 1 trophy in 17 years wasn't good enough, 2 in 25 isn't good enough. What? So if we won the Super Cup, 3 isn't good enough, doesn't change the past. If we win the Carabao Cup in February, that's just 4 in 20, still not good enough. Like, at what point do you? For me, it's about like the kind of human condition of attaching yourselves to opinions that you don't have any benefit from, you don't have any control over the outcome of, and yet you've just attached yourself to something that actually is like the sort of antithesis of what you should be as a football fan, which is rooting for the best endeavours of your football club in the moment, because football's about moments, not about the picture stuff.
Can I just answer Maisie? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if there was something to protest about, then it's important that fans have a voice. There is nothing to protest about at the moment, so they shouldn't even be thinking about putting protests together. But
Lubo, do you think that you said about they obviously speak to people, they obviously are fans, they know what fans are, or they think they know what fans are thinking. Do you think that they're so focused on what's being said online, where we know that there's so many fake accounts, there's so much abuse that comes from people that you don't know who they are, but there seems to probably be so much backing for them? Because I'm sure if they would have sat down and gone to and they would have realized that actually this isn't going to be 100, 200, 300 protests, this is going to be maybe a handful of people. Do you think that they're so worried about what's said online and people are backing them online that's where they think that people are going to turn up? Or
yes, I think it was. I think what they should have done was one of them should have been at the Etihad next week, because you get a really good idea of how the hardcore feel by talking to fans away from home.
Yeah.
Not on social media.
Sorry, what do you mean by the hardcore?
Away support. Away fans that go week in, week out. And I think, you get...
Hang on.
Rather than social media.
Hang on a second. For the last 15 years, the away support has been a clique that has protected other fans from accessing it. When I went to Bodo, I had people... I was putting the picture up of me and Johnny. I had people on Twitter saying, where were you in Istanbul? Where were you in this? Where were you in that? I go to every single game that I can get a ticket to. There are people that live in Australia. There are people that live in America. There's people that live in outside Tottenham. Who don't have the resources, don't have the access, or are not in the geographical region to be able to get in. You're making this grander point that people that go to away games are more passionate, hardcore fans. They're not necessarily.
What I'm
They
saying
just have, they got into the access points and then they protected themselves. They always buy the tickets that they get offered, and even if they can't go, they'll sell them or give them to their friends. Right? You saw the PSG game had something like 2,000 return tickets because for the first time in 30 years, there's now systems in place to stop that thing happening. It's a wonderful move because it allows people that would actually be the hardcore that will get an opportunity to go to those games. Do not confuse access and privilege and protecting of a club.
I said I was comparing. Luke asked about the social media, and I'm comparing fan information they want to.
You said the hardcore. I said, what do you mean by hardcore? You went to away games. They're not hardcore.
No, if you are looking at taking a decision based on opinion, then I think you're better off speaking to people who travel away from home and go regularly.
Why?
Why? Rather than social media.
You said hardcore. You said hardcore. Hardcore to me means more passionate, more like.
No, I didn't say.
I would make the argument that there are a section of people that if you go to every game, home and away, fair play to you.
There are a lot of fans, Sean. There are a lot of fans that are very happy. They've got other things going on in their lives as well. There are a lot of fans that will go every couple of weeks to a home game. Okay,
there are also a lot of fans that would go to every away game if they had the opportunity, but they don't because those people that do protect those tickets, protect the points, protect the loyalty systems. And then you saw for the first time this season, as I just said, like they can't do that anymore. They can't do it. And there was 2,000 tickets that were returned to the club because they can't buy it and then give it to their mates.
Sure.
I would argue on Ian's side with this one because if you look at the home games, a lot of the fans in the home games are maybe one or two times in their lifetime will go and watch that game. We've seen it where we've had a lot of Asian people coming on holiday and support. All those fans that go away are the ones that probably go to a hell of a lot of matches home and away. So if you see the away fans chanting Levy out, if you see the away fans chant, giving it that they're not happy, you kind of do see that they are what Ian might be calling the hardcore fans that are more of and this is, I don't mean it in a sense, but more of a fan than a lot of the fans that are at the home games because they've just come maybe to see Sonny, as we've seen in the past, and things like that, where you get more of a percentage of people that go to a home match might be there and they're taking the kids to watch a game at White Hart Lane, Tottenham Stadium. Those that go away are the ones that are kind of almost there to support their team away from home.
Yes and no, right? Yes and no. Like I'm not saying that everyone that goes away is just a protector of their loyalty points because they don't want to lose out. I'm not saying that. But there's a hell of a lot that goes on. And I'm not in any way denying the fact that there's a lot of tourists that come to Tottenham that are not as passionate, that are here to see a player or that they can only afford. I'm just saying that for anyone to make a broad sweeping judgment saying that the people that go away from home, they're more hardcore because they go to more games. There are probably tens of thousands of season ticket holders, tens of thousands of members who would love to pay £30 to go to Luton, but can't get a chance because that system has been protected for so long. So you can't make this broad sweeping judgment around you can't assume anyone's level of passion just because of how often they go to a game. Because as I said, resources, time, geography, and access are all part of the conversation.
Sean, you hit the nail on the head within that sentence that you just said. Season ticket holders, they're the same to me as the fans that go away. They are there, and I'm not saying they're financially involved, so that makes you more of a fan. But, it's like me.
It's also, like you can't be a season ticket holder if you live in Australia.
Exactly, but what I'm saying is, though, it's a difference to those that are going to the home games that are maybe there on holiday and gone to see Sonny. The fans that might not be a Tottenham Hotspur fan in general, but they are there to support Sonny or there. For
what it's worth, I saw hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Koreans yesterday. And Sonny's not here anymore.
But they might have bought the ticket before Sonny had gone. But I'm not necessarily saying that, though.
maybe that's a
But
fair
what I'm
point, maybe,
saying
but-
is, though, same as probably what Ian's saying, that you're not looking. If you've got home and away, to me, it is a very different type of fan that goes away and goes to the home matches. The home matches, a lot of the people that go there are there for a day out. They're there for an entertainment, in a sense. The fans, to me, that go away are there in a different capacity. Same as the home fans at that away game, that they're there for. And I don't know, maybe I'm not saying it in the correct way, but I
hear
do
what you're
honestly.
saying. I hear what you're saying. Like there's an
Yeah,
assumption
I
that
think.
if you go
I
to
think there's a
more away
difference
games, that you're
between.
more. I hear you.
Where it came from was
Not
my
necessarily-
question was my question was are Change for Tottenham looking at social media and determining what the attitude is on there? Is do they think that that's what the fans need? And I think what Ian was trying to say, I don't think he meant hardcore. I think what he meant was if they was to go to an away game and speak to the fans, they would have a better judgment of where the fans sit with Levy out. I think that's what he was trying to say. So not that there were better fans or anything like that, but you'd get better judgment.
Correct. You may have 10,000, you may have 20,000, you may have 30,000 hardcore fans. What I was saying was the 3,000 fans who go to away games, and you're right, most of them are regulars, Sean. You probably get a few games. Listen, I don't get for Luton, Brentford, Bournemouth, Tamworth, Bodo. I didn't get it for any of them. And you know, there's people like Billy. I mean, who I was speaking to somebody the other day who's got 645 points last season. I mean, I think he was probably number one out of every, you know, in terms of loyalty points. But the people that are going, that are taking their time and effort every single match, and they travel everywhere with the team, I think I would be asking them what they think before looking at social media and trying to get an idea from social media, which is not belittling. There are a lot of fans who.
Well, I think that social media generally. I hear what you're saying in terms of
don't
like
go on social media, whether people are there for a wind up, whether they're Arsenal fans,
100%,
whatever.
100%. I hear your point. If you're saying whose opinion would you rather listen to, a match going fan or some geezer on Twitter? Yeah. I take the point 100%, and I think that on top of that, you have to also sort of bring into the context here around the energy that is like football is tribalism. Have you ever seen like mob mentality? Like you see like people getting beaten up, right? When the one guy gets piled in on, you know, 100 people piling on him because they're all riled up in the moment and they're feeding off the energy of everyone around them. And you like this person would never do that or behave that way if they were one-on-one in the pub or in the one whatever. Like you just have that mob mentality. Twitter has its own energy, and the energy is like, you're never going to know who I am if I disagree with you, because Twitter is this way. I'm going to disagree with you in the most nastiest way and call you every name under the sun, even though you don't know anything about me. So I think that you have to break into the context of the energy in which you're in, and I think to a degree, like for the most part, there is a larger proportion of Levy outers within the away going fans, right? So when you hear the Levy out, we want Levy out chants, you hear it away from home on the TV. You might hear it from a smaller proportion of the overall fan base. But again, I think that is because for those people, that do spend their money and do travel up and down the country, if they're not being served success, then too much, you know, a higher proportion of their attention in one form or another is going into Tottenham. So therefore, they're entitled to kind of vent their frustrations when things are shit. But this season, things aren't shit. We just won the Europa League. How many chairmen have done that in the Premier League in the last 25 years? You can't. I don't know how to say this. Like, you can't make assumptions on any particular person, but you can bake in the context of the environment they're in. And if more people that go away from home are pissed off last season, and rightly so, because they saw so many defeats on the road, then you can understand why they would get caught up in the mob mentality of a Levy out chant. But when you also have to, on the same energy, if you're going to make that point, you should also look at the fact that on the first game of the season, that there was a protest that was organised 5 days before the first game, and 20 people of 62,000 turned up. If we're going to take the energy of one, we can take the energy of the other and recognise that I don't think it's reasonable to suggest that most fans feel the way that Levy out is the only method for Tottenham's success.
I mean, one thing though, Sean, if we went back to the end of last season and we said, what do we need in the transfer window? Most of us had sat here and said we need a monster number 6 and a decent winger. Well, we've actually got both of them. The only reason that we're not happy is because all of a sudden we're linked to Eze, Savinho, Hincapie, these big names again. So we want more than what we've got. And when we get Eze, we'd still want somebody else. We'd still want another player. And this is the problem, that as fans, we're never satisfied with what we've got. We always want more. Now, like I say, beginning of the transfer window, if we'd have said, right, we're going to sign Paulinho and we're going to sign Kudos, who could be a revelation this season, we'd have been like, yeah, brilliant. But now, because Eze's back in the mix and Savinho, if we don't get them, it's suddenly a poor window. Well, in reality, it's not a poor window because we've got 2 very good players in.
No, Soren, sorry, I disagree with you there. We finished 17th last season.
Yeah, but 7th. I mean,
no buts. We finished 17th.
Yeah, but there is a but in there because we are a better team now. We finished 17th last season. And look, you can't.
But we're still off. Hang on, Soren. Yes, I agree with you. Hang on, I agree with you that with a proper man, if Frank had been manager last season, we wouldn't have finished 17th. But with that squad, he can only take us so far. He's not a magician. You know, he can coach players and he can coach assistants.
But that squad also finished 5th the year before.
Yeah.
Only because of the start of the season when nobody knew the way Ange played, and you know, between Chelsea and the end of the season,
so it was Ange that was a responsible factor, right?
No, between Chelsea when we lost our first game and Sheffield United at the end of the season,
because of Ange's tactics,
we finished 12th.
Because of Ange's tactics.
Yes, because of Ange's tactics.
Ange is no longer here, right?
But if you look at where we are at the moment, and we've had these conversations on YouTube over the last week or two, haven't we, Sean? Where do you think we'll finish with the players that we're in for, and with and as the squad is today? And I think most of us have sort of said 8th, 9th, 10th. So you know, we need more than just 2 players if we're gonna start challenging. If we're going to start challenging properly for maybe a Europa League place, because you know, to go from 17th to 4th or 5th.
Have Aston Villa added 2 first-team improvements to their team this year?
This year,
yeah.
But you know, Sean, with 28 points to catch, we've got 28 points to catch them.
Okay. So you're leaning into this variable that you're not acknowledging was because of the manager.
What I'm saying is,
the manager's gone.
No,
so that's like a first team improvement as well, right? It's like that's like an Eze level improvement on or like a Savinho over a Tel. Sacking Ange and getting in Thomas Frank is like replacing Tel with Savinho in terms of the overall output in the manager itself, right? So I think you're leaning into the fact that we finished 17th and saying therefore we're shit, but we're not. There was so much context to that that's being replaced in and of itself.
But I think the other part is that we only got 1 first-team player last year. So I think we was already trying to play catch-up anyway. When we was going into the Europa League, we obviously had the season before we had no Europe. We're going into the Europa League, you would have expected us to go and improve our 11. So if we'd have got 2, then that would have been 2 signings. So all of a sudden that's 4 now that have improved, whereas now it's only been 3. So I think that's the problem, is that for me, we was always playing catch-up anyway. So 2 would have been a good window, but it wouldn't have been enough for us to be able to say we're going on to do X, Y, Z. I think that's the thing problem.
Is, like with this season though, Luke, if you start off with the same squad and you add the 2 players that we've added in, Paulinho and Kudos, then we're automatically stronger. And then when you start losing players,
we have no creativity. We've lost Maddison. We have no number 10.
Yeah, but if you let me finish, I was about to go there. So I was about to say, so then you've added those 2 players to the squad. But then you lose Sonny, you lose Maddison, so you replace them on top of the 2 that we've got.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Now, when we talk about replacing those players, because we're now talking about the ilks of Eze, Savinho, Hincapie, we're all of a sudden we're going a higher level, which is what we should be doing. I'm not saying we shouldn't be doing, but because we've all got in our heads now that we want Eze and we want Savinho and we want Hincapié, all of a sudden, if we don't get them particular players,
100%.
it's suddenly a failure. Whereas had we gone in
100%.
and got 3 players that maybe weren't them 3 players, we would all be happy at the beginning of the transfer window. But because we're now talking about an Eze, we're talking about a Savinho, we're talking about Hincapié, we'll get them, and then we'll want more, and then we'll want more. As fans, it's what we should be doing. But the problem is, we're never going to be satisfied.
But that also comes down to finances as well, right? So if everyone said, like, if they either said to most Spurs fans, "Oh, we're in for Savinho Eze," most of them would have probably gone, "Well, it'll be one or the other." Whereas the reports are we're in for both. So therefore, if we don't end up spending that money, fans go, "Well, there's 120 million there. Where has that gone then?"
Luke, we're in for all 3.
No, I don't.
That's it. If at the end of the end of this window, we didn't know that we was in for all 3, but we got an Eze, we'd be happy. If we got a Savinho, we'd probably be happy. If we got an Hincapié, we'd be happy. But because we've now been linked to all 3, we want all 3.
But Soren, if you look at it, yes, we will improve naturally because of the manager. But we've gained a 6 and a 7. And we've lost to 10. We lost to 10 and 11.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Whereas other clubs have strengthened without losing.
Yeah. Had we not lost, this is what I'm saying though, at the beginning of the transfer window, had we not lost those players, we were automatically stronger. Now we've lost them, we have to replace them. I agree with you there, but what I'm saying is though, if we only sign an Eze, we'd be happy. But because we've now been linked to all 3, we want all 3.
Well, this is the thing, Soren, right? It's like, how do I say this? I was going to use an analogy. I won't bother. I'll just call it what it is. Tottenham, people used to criticise Levy for showing no ambition. No ambition, right? Why are we going after this player? We should be going after that player. The second we show ambition, and we definitely are going in for those players, whether we get them done is not down to Daniel Levy by himself. It's down to the willingness of the player. And on both fronts, those players want to come to Tottenham. And it's down to the willingness to sell at a reasonable, valuable price, right? There's some sort of give and take. If they don't happen, then Daniel Levy, who's usually criticised for showing no ambition, he's then going to be criticised for showing the ambition for not getting it done, even though he is not in control of the entire outcome of that event. And if he is in control of that entire outcome by paying a ridiculous amount of money that far exceeds reasonable valuation, where you can only get one, to your point, Soren, like if the only way Parish is going to sell Eze is by us, just for argument's sake, saying 90 million, right? And they go, okay, then you don't get Savinho. Then if Eze goes down, or even if he doesn't, people are going to go, well done for getting Eze, but you massively overpaid for a 27-year-old. Just like they said when it came to Solanke, just like they said when it came to Richarlison, on a different level. But like if we'd signed Richarlison for 20 million quid, people would have said, all right, can see the value. It's not that ambitious, but at least there's value there. When it was 60 million quid, it was don't rate the player and you definitely overpaid. Same with Solanke. Some people like Solanke, some people don't. But the price point was a problem as soon as it took place. What is the price point that we have to get these deals done? And as Luke was saying, there's an opportunity cost. If you spend £100 million to get Savinho over the line, that means you don't get your centre-back. You might not get your Eze. If you have to pay 80 million to get Eze and 80 million to get Savinho, you can sure as fuck forget that we're going to get a 9. And then what happens if Richarlison goes down injured? Then the fan base will say, we should have got a 9. Or what happens if Van der Ven goes down injured and we have to play Ben Davies at left of a back 3 away to Bayern Munich in the Champions League? Where's our centre-back? Like, you can't, the fans just want to oversimplify it and say, I want it now, I don't care what it costs, and I want it all. And then when you can't do all of those things, it's like anything in life, right? Every business that already exists, the key to being a trillionaire is making something that is necessary for everyone, doing it better, faster, and cheaper. But you can't do all 3. You can be better and it can be faster, but it can't be cheaper. It can be faster, but it can't be better.
Sean, you have said there's no excuse, there's money coming into the club. You've said that on podcasts. We have spent
how much money?
Oh, right. But we have spent 44 million this year, net. 44 million.
Ian, is the money here yet?
Sorry?
Is the money here yet?
The club have got money to spend. That's what I'm hearing.
Have they got 200 or 300 million?
Have they got money to? I don't know the exact amount, but they're going in for these. Listen, they're going in for these 3 players. I can't turn around at any time now and say the club don't have ambition, because they're showing ambition. For me, this is the first time for many, many, many years that the club have shown ambition.
I mean,
you're not moaning me.
At the beginning of this transfer window, if we sat here and said, right, you're going to sign Paulinho, you're going to sign Kudos, and you're going to get Eze, would we be happy?
Would we, without losing anybody? If you're gaining,
without losing anybody,
If you're gaining 3, then yes. If Maddison, obviously, no one knew Maddison was going to get injured.
Yeah.
The thing that pissed me off about the Maddison injury, apart from obviously losing a very good player, is that he has been injury prone, not just at Spurs but prior. And with Kulu out for months, and nobody knows when Kulu's coming back. All the report, you look at Football London, they do a whole thing on injuries, and it's got comeback date unknown. Nobody knows. So it's obviously he's not coming back in the next few weeks. And because you're relying on keeping Maddison fit for every game. He's the only 10 we've got. So we should have had another 10 lined up, or we should have kept Donnelly at the club with a view to selling,
I agree with that.
loaning him out, but only once we've replaced Maddison.
I agree with that. And that's why I think Vescovic is still here, by the way.
Yeah.
Well,
just quickly, Lubo,
I mean, the thing is,
just give me 1 second, guys. So there's like 6 super chats, and they've been hanging around for ages. I haven't got to them. Give me 2 seconds, and then we can get back into it. By the way, Savas just said, I think it's been tweeted as well, Fabio Paratici is at the Crystal Palace versus Chelsea game. That has to be seen as slightly good news. Maybe Paratici can come in and smooth things over. We'll come to that though. Troy's Cram, big up to you, my man. Sorry for the delay in getting this out. Totally agree with the panel. Sabio is more important. But that was about an hour ago. Sorry, mate, for taking so long. I think Savio is more important than Eze, to be honest. But it's a toss-up, really. Tony Rodriguez, big up, Tone. Good to see you, mate. Let's talk about the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust. Levy's got them by the balls. Super quick, Lubo, you're part of that, aren't you? The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust?
Yes. And funny enough, I spoke to Rachel in the ground before the match yesterday, and they weren't on board with the process, she was saying.
Yeah, I don't know what they do, to be honest.
They obviously have to keep a communication lines going with the club.
I think the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, though, to most people that are positive leaning fans, but they're not particularly interested in the Supporters Trust thing. So it's more for the fans that are dissatisfied. And I feel like, if I'm entirely honest, if you were to lean into the Twitter kind of energy, I feel like Change for Tottenham probably is almost replacing. This is where I will give them credit. At least their energy, at least their activity is more visible than the THST. So I don't really know what they do. But thank you, Tony. Appreciate you, mate. Sorry, Lube. Go on. Sorry, mate.
No, just in answer to that, the trust do a lot of good things.
Do they?
That are all under the radar. They've been fighting with the club on senior citizen discounts, which discussions are still going on, which I thought was absolutely disgusting by Levy to start hitting pensioners because he thinks they're all rich. They also work with police here and abroad regarding fans and making sure fans are looked after, fans aren't attacked, etc., etc. I found the last few years of travelling into Europe, we met at a certain point when we were, just as one example, we went to Juventus a few years ago. The year was it 16, 17, 17, 18, and we all got bussed into the ground, inside the perimeter of the ground, and then picked up buses to go out. The same thing happened in Fiorentina as well. So they're trying to make sure that the fans are looked after, aren't in any danger. There are all other things. They work with police on crowd control, etc. With certain situations, the trust do an awful lot of the good work that they don't get any credit for. And they also,
if you want to reach out to that lady, Christina, was it? You said her name, Christina?
No, Rachel.
Rachel, sorry. If you want to reach out on my behalf, I don't understand what they do, so I'd love to get one of them on to understand it more. Appreciate that. Yeah, look, I'm sure they do well. But just quickly, the Crystal Palace Chelsea game is feisty as hell. It's a proper old school game of football. Proper tackles flying, and love to see it. Still 0-0 on the hour mark.
So Eze will get injured then.
Yeah, it looks like it. Well, I hope not, but it's a feisty game though. I love to see it. 5 signings. Thank you very much for that. Where did I get to? Sorry, Tony. Thank you very much, Tony. Appreciate you, and thank you, Lubo, for the insight, mate. Because I didn't know what they did. So very impressive. Kudos. Change for Tottenham would take credit for a car bombing. Jesus Christ! If it somehow influenced the board to change their behaviour. I don't know where to go with that one, Kudos. I don't know where to go, mate. But I take the point you're making, mate. There's some crazy analogies being thrown around today. Like, Soren, what have you done, mate? You've the tone of this channel today has just gone downhill from the moment that you mentioned a prostitute cleaning herself up.
Oh man, yeah,
unbelievable. I love you, man. Love you. Thank you very much. Daniel Husson from Deepest Darkest Peru. Big up to you, Daniel. Choo choo to you. The super sticker train. I think that's the first super sticker of the day. Appreciate you very much, Daniel. I hope life is treating you kind in Peru. Danny's come back in with another one saying 5 signings so far and attempting 2 to 3 more. Where does the lack of ambition argument come in? When you say 5 signings, I think people are forgetting Kota Sakai. I think that's fair. The other 2, though, is Mathys Tel and Danso. Is that right?
Danso.
So, yeah, for me, I'm not going to play that game. I think that most signings should be, in an ideal world, a loan with an option. Try before you buy if you can. But where I will meet you halfway, Daniel, is the way that Tottenham fans are spinning Palhinha on a loan as a bad thing. Like a permanent signing is somehow better. Like, we don't know what that guy's level is going to be this year because he's barely played in Germany. So to sit there and make out like it's really just one signing and a loan, no. The loan was the right way to go with Palhinha, and it would be the same with a Jack Grealish or anything else. So appreciate you, Daniel. And Sean F 2767, it says Paratici watching Eze right now. Get it done, Spurs. Lads, do we think that Paratici being at the game is consequential? Is it meaningful? Or is he just watching a game of football?
He's there to watch Gray as well.
Ooh. Dare to dream, Soren. Dare to dream. Look, maybe Adam Wharton?
Mateta?
Well, if Palace want more money up front, get 2 players out of them and give them a good whack up front and get both of them. Who knows? I mean, they're talking of Gueye for 40 million, is it? Well,
yeah. Well, I think Gueye turned us down. He doesn't want to come to Tottenham. He wants to go to Liverpool. So.
Well, yeah, but if Liverpool don't come in for him, but yeah, like you say, there's other players there. Maybe we're going for what's his bloody name? The Chelsea lad. Oh, what's he called?
Conor Gallagher?
No.
Cole Palmer.
Palmer, that's him. Yeah, Cole Palmer.
Yeah. Can you imagine? 200 million quid, Palmer to Tottenham.
Putting a cheeky for him. I'm starting looking at him and I'm thinking I can't remember his bloody name. But yeah, at my age, this comes more often.
Tell you what, mate. I woke up this morning and I looked at my comments on my chat and I was like, wait, what? I was like, what's that video? I don't even remember putting up my post show thoughts or the video with the guy.
I saw that video, Sean. Along the high road.
No, so I did 3 videos yesterday. I did a video with an older chap who was brilliant. Des, I think his name was. He was awesome, and just a random guy I bumped into. And then I did a video after the game with 3 lads. I think one of them was in the chat a minute ago, Isaac, and his couple of guys. And I did my own video. I don't remember putting up any of those 3 videos. That's how absolutely wildly smashed I was. Des was great. Des was fantastic. Guys, are we listen? Let's get to the nuts and bolts of it, right? If you were a betting man, Luke, Eze, Savinho, a centre back, a forward, an 8, a goalkeeper, you could make an argument that there's 6 areas that we could improve. I think we're pretty set, in other areas, but like you could make an argument how's it going to finish? Or how's it going to go over the next, do we get a bomber in the next 48 hours at all?
I think Eze gets over the line. I'm less certain about Savinho just because it seems that City, every time I look at the price, it seems to go up a little bit. But it depends on what time you catch me. Sometimes I'm thinking, yeah, we're just going to go and get 2, then we'll get 3. And then all of a sudden I'm thinking we might even go and get a striker or a centre-back. This is just what Spurs do. I believe Eze will be done. But I don't think we'll get both Eze and Savinho. I think we might get Eze and then maybe someone that's not quite as good as maybe a winger or a striker or can play in both positions. But that changes tomorrow.
The fact that we walked away from Garnacho, right? The fact that there was the noise out from, I forget who it was, that said Tottenham were very much interested in Garnacho, but they've walked away.
Yeah.
The fact that we've walked away from, obviously, Jack Grealish. The fact that we never been in for Lookman. The fact that there's, Malik Fofana, right? He's going somewhere else. Have we put all of our eggs in the basket, Soren, of Savinho? And is Pep Guardiola going to just do, finally, 3-4 years later, he's finally going to get his fuck you to Daniel Levy?
I would say, I like Luke, and I see Eze coming, which I didn't, a week ago, I didn't think we were getting in. I think there's too much noise now. And I'm not one that believes in the nose and all this. I think it's a load of rubbish, but I just think there's too much now. It wouldn't surprise me to get Savinho over the line, but I do see us getting at least one of those 2 players, and I think we'll get another player over the line that might not be them, but could still be a decent signing. I just see some at left field coming in. I just don't believe that everything we're after now is suddenly out there in the open and we're not going to sign somebody left field. I mean, it's not going to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me if we got Eze and all of a sudden we got an Danny Olmo or something that hasn't really been mentioned too much. I mean, it's not going to be Danny Olmo, we know that, but I think we'll get 2 good players over the line before the end of the transfer window, plus a possible last day deal type thing.
Okay. I'm going to say it right now, Lubo. I think we get both of them done, and I don't think our business is finished there either. Things apparently Pablo's saying. Big up Pablo, by the way. I just saw your tweet to me. I think that there's a. I think that we're going to get both done, Lubo, but I think we're going to overpay for both. Whether it's 61 million quid for, I don't know, but I think we'll end up paying like a club record fee for Savinho. Gets that new club's highest transfer fee off my back. I promised you all. I said it. They didn't listen.
You're still right. Son's gone, so we've got a new highest earner. It's just lower than what we're.
It's still a win on a technicality, What do you reckon, Lubo? Are we getting both of them done, buddy?
I think we'll get both done. I don't think we'll see either of them. I'd love to see one or both at the Etihad next week. I think it'd be brilliant. I don't see either of them playing for us until probably West Ham on September the 13th. If we get one of them, I think for Bournemouth.
Wait, when's September the 13th?
Yeah, because there's an international weekend, the week of the 6th, September the 6th.
So we don't. So we only play. So the last game before September the 1st is Man City. We don't play again.
No, we've got Bournemouth on the 30th.
Oh, Bournemouth.
And then we've got a 2-week break. And I think they'll both be in by the end of the transfer window. Whether we get them for the Bournemouth match, I don't know.
Do you think we get anyone else?
So I think we'll get anyone else.
A centre back, full back,
maybe
number 9.
Maybe they're trying.
I've just got a feeling that Daniel Levy's gone. I love the fact that they protested. I love the fact that no one turned up. And I'm going to love the fact even more when I drop an Eze Savinho double bombes over the next 48, 72 hours. And then after that, we bring in maybe just maybe a 9, maybe just maybe a 8, maybe just maybe a... And it's going to be a meltdown. And I'm here for it. And I am. It's not a melt. Sorry, it's a melt up. It's going to be a melt up, and I've got the receipts. I've got all of the.
Do you know what I like? You know what?
All of the people in every video, and I've been saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and everyone's saying, Butler, you're a clickbait merchant. I've got them all. I've got them all, and I'm going to be bringing them all up and exposing everybody. And if it doesn't happen, then I'll just move the goalposts and carry on with my stuff.
You know what it's going to be.
Happen,
and if they all happened, I could walk on the Spurs 5 on that Monday night. And just to see your face, I could go, my chairman. And you just see your face.
The second I clip, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip that audio and I'm going to send it back to Sava, and then Sava's going to send it to Perchie's missus, and it's going to be replaced in the intro video. You know that intro video. There's a little bit of an audio. My chairman coming with Lubo's voice. Yeah.
You know what it's going to be.
He's already put it in the comments just now.
Yeah, get him a T-shirt with Levy in.
Yeah,
we'll sign Eze, we'll sign Savinio, and then last day of transfer window it'll be Vlahovic.
No, I don't think they won't. I don't see that.
You think Vlahovic? You think Vlahovic is coming? I don't think. No one wants Vlahovic. What's going on with him? Nobody wants Dusan Vlahovic.
Get him on loan. He'd be all right. Be a backup.
No. Now listen. We got Sava's favourite centre forward, Richie, on form. Richie's flying, isn't he, Sav?
Yeah. I mean, it's like you say, but you just kind of see something like that on the last day where it'll be an opportunity type thing, and there'll be.
Sorry, I think with Sava's show last week, they all laughed at me. I said Richie will get some goals, and they all laughed. They all took the piss. The piss.
The problem with Sava's show.
I told you so.
The problem with Sava's show is he's calling me out here, so I'm gonna have a little bit of banter back. If anybody's watching Sava's show like 20 seconds behind real time, then Sava's inclined to just pivot from incredible negativity to incredible positivity within like 20 seconds. And then he's calling people out in the comments for their negativity when Sava's pivoted to positivity, but they're still 20 seconds behind you, Sav. They're not watching live, so they haven't seen that you've gone positive, and you're calling them out for how it's outrageous it is to be negative when you were negative 30 seconds earlier, buddy. We love you, mate. We love you.
I've got to say, I was on with Sav earlier, and his glass was half full, and he knows it.
We got the top scorer in the league, by the way. Just saying, he's a top scorer.
My number 9. My number off Nos.
Yes. I bet Johnny called you shameless for saying that, didn't he? Eh?
Oh, Johnny went after me all day yesterday. All day, yeah, all day.
Johnny's called him a lot worse than shameless. Don't you worry about that.
So what are we saying, guys? What's the net spend going to be? Even if it's not those guys, what's the net spend? You say it's 44 million right now, Lubo, right? What's it going to be by September the 1st?
Ending it up now.
I reckon they'll spend 130 million on Eze and Savinio, less. That's before add-ons. Less whatever we get for Bissouma. Gill's injured, so I don't see him going. Solomon's injured at the moment. I don't see him going. So maybe just Bissouma will be the one player that they do get rid of.
When did I say we don't need new signings? Is what you had to tell. Now you're just incredibly inventive. Good on you. Good on yourself. Good on you.
When you posted them 2 videos yesterday, Sean.
What's that?
When you posted them 2 videos yesterday, you must have.
I better go back and check the tape. Quick, delete. Yeah.
It'll be one of those clickbait ones that you did. Flip flop. Well, you were getting the mud chucked at you.
Yeah, I'll dip away. Luke, how much money we spending, mate? Come on, let me know.
I think Biss goes out the door. I think Solomon goes out the door. So I think that'll even out the 40 million. And then I reckon we'll probably spend about another 80. I reckon we get Eze in and then maybe another £20 million sign him. I reckon it'll only be about 80.
So you're only saying one of the 3 that were linked with them?
Yeah, as I said with the Hincapie thing, I'm not saying, I've seen it in the chat. People are going, you're saying we don't need a defender. It's not what I said. What I said was I wouldn't be spending 60 million on a defender. So yeah, I reckon it'll be about 80 million, something like that. but that's based on 2 outgoings. I reckon Biss and Solomon both catch about 15, 20 million each.
How about you?
Sarah's taken over the comments now.
What's that?
He's taken over the comments.
Stabber wants Albert Lewin. There you go.
It's a Sabah raid on the comments going on here.
He said he was going a minute ago, but he's hanging around to have a couple more digs. We'd love to see it. Soren, what are we saying, mate?
I would say we're probably going to spend another 120 mil. So whether that's, I think we'll get two more players in for definite. Whether that's Eze and Savinho or whether it's Eze and somebody else, I wouldn't be surprised if there's another 120 spent. So if you add that to the 44, 160 spent, I don't know what's going to come in, but yeah, I think we'll have a big window. I really do.
I can't wait, mate. I can't wait. If it doesn't happen, I'm in the mud. But if it does, I'm coming for everyone. Lads,
you know what we need, Sean?
Sorry, go on, yeah.
A score out of 10 thus far. I haven't seen that for a season or two.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What's the window thus far?
For me, I would say 7.5, 8 out of 10 because we've got 2 good players in.
But we lost 2.
Yeah, but we haven't. We've everybody reckons Sonny wasn't good enough anyway. So
Sonny was shit.
Yeah, so you haven't really lost him. Maddison's only lost because he's injured, so we haven't really lost him. So you've added 2 very good players to the squad, and they're actually first teamers rather than squad numbers.
It's madness. The revisionism is insane. We lost Sonny and we replaced him with Kudos, but they even themselves out. No, they don't. Kudos is an insane improvement on a player, even though they're opposite positions. Kudos is like this. Sonny by the end is down here. Like Sonny's down here. And people go, no, they even themselves out because agendas have to agenda, And then Pelini are coming in versus, I don't know what we're doing here. Pelini is an absolute monster that everyone wanted, but apparently being on loan is a bad deal. I'm not saying it's only out of 10, but it's...
Just to make the chat understand, we are saying thus far. If we don't sign anybody else, it does drop. It's the same argument as we had 2 seasons ago. Thus far, we've added 2 first-team players. If we don't add anybody else, it drops.
Listen. We listen to the interviews. We listen to he's in it to win it. Where are we? Does his best for the football club. Constantly trying to win consistently trying to win trophies. Don't worry, our chairman will make sure we're okay in the next 2 weeks. Don't worry.
He's got his Levy quote sheet. I love it. That is brilliant.
The only thing I've been asking, he's got everything. He's got every stat of every player in the history of Tottenham Hotspur on some book behind him. But I've asked him 4 times on 4 different shows to bring out his 7-point manifesto. And funnily enough, he can't find it
somewhere, Sean. I will dig it out. In fact, do you know what I'll do? I'll type it out. I'll send it to you. You can put it up on the screen. How about that? Let me find it.
Or just at least remember what it was. Just remember what it was.
Remember, you're right.
It's going to be off the top of your head.
John, just to quickly point something out, Eze has just been subbed and he is not clapping the fans. He's not giving a goodbye.
Ooh.
Oh, he's fallen out with them because Sean's already said he's coming, so he's the in the know, mate.
What's his face, mate? ITK.
Just walked off the pitch.
Listen. They've been watching this. They've been watching the Spurs talk show now for the last couple of days. The Palace fans,
yeah,
and they're having a protest against Eze now. Change for Palace.
Listen, guys. Well, quickly, just one more.
He did clap the fans. We're being told here.
I was going to say I've got it here and I didn't see him, so I must have missed it. Fair enough.
He did clap the fans.
Yeah.
Content's got a content.
He didn't look like a goodbye to me.
No clapping.
What does this mean? Yeah, he's owls. He's owls in the thumbnail. Lads, I'll run back off in a second, but just quickly, guys. there is the Spurs 5. I'm representing this one for Lubo. Lubo's the Spurs 5. Please do smash the subscribe as well. And if you scroll back up, I'll get it again in 2 seconds. But if you can scroll back up for me, then you can see Spotlight on Spurs. Lukey has just got into the monetization world. So all support is very, very much appreciated for him. And the second that Soren decides, because they all do eventually, they're going to start their own channel, then we'll be able to plug Soren as well. But thank you so much. But I haven't got the final answer, guys, before we round off. What is the window thus far?
1 out of 10 for me. And he didn't clap the fans. It was like that. Get over.
I think
just
it's,
rewound it.
each signing is very good. Like if we sign that level of signings, I think is very, very good. So I'll probably say it's probably like an 8 at the moment. If we don't make further signings, then that drops. But yeah, it's an 8 at the moment. I think both of them players coming in are going to impact our season for sure.
Love that positivity. Here's Lubo to finish off with some real pessimism. Go on, Lubo. What's the score? What's the score out of 10?
With 2 weeks to go, at the moment, the way it stands, I'm giving it a 6.
6 out of 10 for Lubo. And what's Lukey doing there? My manager? Is that my manager? Oh, I always win trophies in my second season.
Now, Luke, sorry, didn't Thomas Frank say I always win trophies in my 4th match? And he did, didn't he?
No, Thomas Frank said we're guaranteed to lose matches. That's what he said.
Yeah, and he was right. He was right. Well, actually, I'm not sure if he has. 0-0, 2-2. Does it really count as a loss? I don't know. But, guys, we will be back. The second there's a drop, there might be a bomber in like 15, 20 minutes. We never know. If we will, I'll be right back here, shamelessly dropping ITK nonsense that I don't know anything about. But I want to say a massive thank you to Lubo, and I hope everyone's okay, mate, with whatever happened. I want to say a massive thank you to you, Soren, as well. Always a pleasure, buddy, to both of you. And Lukey, big up to you as well, mate. Absolute legend of the fan base. Guys, massive thank you to everyone. Have I done the super chats? I'm not sure if I have done all the super chats, have I? Sorry, guys. Sorry. Where did I get to? We did Deepest Darkest Peru. Paratici watching from Sean. Tony, did we do this one? Sean, what happens if we don't get Savinho and Eze? If we don't get Savinho and Eze, then you might not see much more of me for a while. I might just I might have to take a little hiatus, go on holiday or something.
I think you'll be joining Change for Tottenham, Sean.
I'll be changing Change for Tottenham. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be changing it. Sean F has come back in again. Big up to you, Sean. Levy loves a deadline day, so Sean's stream window could just be Eze, Savinho, maybe a Hincapi and another. The window we've all been calling for. Mate, the guy had the audacity to sit there and say at the start of a transfer window that our ambitions are here. There's money in. There's clearly ambition. We shall see. Relax, everybody. Let's wait and see how it finishes. But for now, thank you very much, Sean. I will say thank you, everyone, for being a part of it. Go and watch the afternoon's football, and we'll be back if there's a bomber. And I might be back anyway because, I don't have a wife or kids or anything else apart from you lot. You're all I have. You're all I have.
You got
He'll end the stream, and in 5 minutes he'll think, shit, I've got to do a stream today. Don't remember doing one yet.
The other night, Sam did a 3-hour stream, finished, and went to bed. And 20 minutes later, he was back again. The ITK, the bomber's about to drop. The man is an absolute workhorse. Appreciate you all. Like, subscribe, like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, bye bye.